Just walk away. Just walk away, and there will be an end to the horror.
All right, we're live. Welcome, everybody. I am Sirias. You're listening to MGTOW Chats and it's actually, unironically, our episode number 69. So, and guess who our guest is for this epic 69th episode? It is none other than the Sandman. He's back. I think this is your second time on the show, right?
Yeah, it's the second time I'm on your show. You interviewed me a long time ago, so technically it would be the third. So there you go.
That's right. Besides the interview, yeah. Second time on the live streams that I'm doing now. Also, my co-host Lamprey is away at the moment. He'll join us in about 5 minutes. He had to take a phone call. Let me just say hi to who's in the chat. Slaughterhouse is in. Alvaro de Bazan, who downvoted. Who knows, man? Somebody already downvoted our stream. Maybe it was Jorn Verschure. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Huh?
Maybe it was Angry MGTOW that downvoted.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, what we're going to do today, guys, is there's a few topics that Sandman has thrown at me that we'll discuss because I know that it's nice to get his opinion once in a while. So that's why we've got him on. And I guess what I'd like to jump into first, why don't we kind of go into a little bit about what you're doing as far as you can talk about for the audience. I'm talking the doll thing.
Okay, so you mean the sex doll that I'm working on?
Yes, the sex dolls, yes. I'm sure people will be curious.
Well, I'm not working on a full doll, like I told you earlier. I'm working on just the head and the vagina. So the head will basically be a system that projects a real woman's head. She could be in a chat room, like a Chatterbait chat room, or she could have her own website where she live streams, and it would basically live stream her face, and then the face would be projected onto or in from the doll. Like I've got a system that I can't really talk too much about, but I can tell you what it would look like. So you'd look at the doll, the sex doll, and you would see her face, and she would be looking at you. So you could basically be having sex with the doll while interacting with her at the same time. And then the other added layer of interactivity is the vagina. So I'm working on an insert, and the insert picks up the sensors from your thrust. And on her end, there's actually a dildo or another device. I haven't quite figured out the details to that yet. That's going to thrust in and out of her. So as you're having sex with the doll, you're looking at her, you're talking to her. She's moaning because you're giving her pleasure by giving the pleasure to the doll, which is sending all that data to her. Right. So it's a virtual sex system, and it piggybacks off of the existing dolls that you would find off the Dollhouse and other companies. So you don't have to buy a whole new sex doll if you already have the dolls.
Right.
You just have the body, you just buy the vaginal insert, and you buy the head. Right. And once you buy those two things, you just attach them to the existing doll. So I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I want to basically tap the market that already has, no pun intended, has access to all of those dolls, but they already own the dolls. So to buy another head for $300-400, and to buy the vaginal insert for another, I don't know, $100, $150. It depends on how much it's going to cost me to produce.
Yeah.
And then you pay the cam girl for whatever use you get from her. So again, I don't know if I'd have to set up my own cam girls, like get 3 or 4 of them,
Hello? We lost him. We just lost him. I'm going to try and call again. Hold on, guys. hold on, guys. I lost him, and I'll try and get him back. Just give me a second here. I'll just riddle with you with some ads for a minute. Be right back, guys. Sorry about that.
At the law firm of DeLeo and Furex, we understand that sometimes life throws you a curveball. We help our blue-chip clients get their lives back after circumstances have conspired against them. Just listen.
It was an unfortunate accident what happened to my wife on that precarious cliff. DeLeo and Furex can't bring my wife back, but they made sure I didn't end up in the slammer.
I was unfortunate enough to be found with 15 kilos in my spare tire. I was so mad at the auto repair shop that sold me that tire. Thanks to DeLeo and Furex, the district attorney saw it that way too.
I accidentally torched a Quickie Mart when my medication ran out. DeLeo and Furex helped me and the community by ensuring a healthy settlement from the pharmaceutical companies.
At DeLeo and Furex, we understand the judicial system and will ensure the truth is heard, no matter how improbable. We're not cheap, but what price can you put on truth? Call DeLeo and Furex today at 866-974-2333. That's 866-9-SHADY. DeLeo and Furex. Accidents happen, and we'll prove it.
The store leading the fight against communism is having a blowout sale. Ammunition has a wide array of peacemakers. Come by Ammunition on Militia Mondays, exercise your Second Amendment rights, and get 10% off all armor-piercing bullets. We're the only gun store that lets you try it before you buy it. Need anti-tank missiles? We've got them. Flamethrowers? Oh, yeah. No credit? No problem. No money down. 90 days, same as cash. Shoot now, pay later. During the 10-minute waiting period, fire off a few rounds of the Ammunition gun range, featuring faces of famous commie pinkos. Come by Ammunition and register to win an anti-aircraft gun actually used when we whooped Australia's ass. This weekend is the Ammunition Film Festival with free screenings of the documentary Red Dawn. Ammunition, protecting your rights.
Okay, guys, we're back. We got Sandman back, and we're going to pick up right where we left off. And you were talking about, in relationship to the modifications to sex dolls or parts you want to add to these sex dolls, make available, was cam girls. So let's start with cam girls.
Yeah, the cam girl thing is it's all about making sure that you can interact with girls, so that you're not actually just having sex with an inanimate object with no interactivity.
Right.
I hear somebody on there. I think Lamprey's on.
Lamprey's
I'm here.
We can hear you smoking a joint, man.
I'm puffing away.
Okay. Anyway, cam girls.
Yeah. So the idea is to have a few of them on staff, or have a few of them that can connect with online at any time. So whoever has the doll has maybe 5 or 10 of them he can pick from at any time that he can interact with. So that way he's not bored. See, my whole thing is I like the dolls. I think they're good. I prefer them from behind because they feel and look the most real, doggy style, which is kind of interesting. Because you like that gives you the most realistic sensation. But when you look at them in the eye, they don't really do anything, right? They're creepy looking dolls a little bit, right? So the faces need a lot of work. So if we can somehow replace the faces with a human face that responds or reacts, then that's awesome. Or even AI, but the problem with AI is it's still so far away. So I figure, why not just have a doll or have a piece of technology that just projects a human into it? Then you don't need the AI. Like, all these companies are working so hard, like Real Doll's working so hard to build an AI into their doll, which is just ridiculous, right? Like, it's like, you have an AI. She's sitting at home in front of her camera and computer, and all you have to do is try to figure out how to get her consciousness into your doll, and you're set, right, at that point, right? Then you have that interactivity that we don't have to wait another 20 or 30 years for real AI to be up and running, perfectly realistically.
Right.
So.
Paul Hart says in the comics, are women not shit enough? You want to make them worse?
Yeah. The idea is, worse how?
I don't know. I mean, I was going to respond to that too. It's like there's already, you can't stop thoughterry, man. You can't stop it. thoughts
Well,
would
I
be
say
thoughts.
embrace it, right?
Yeah.
I say if they want to get paid for their sexuality, then let's just compartmentalize that shit and sell it individually. So if instead of getting dates and going out for dinners and buying them houses and clothes and rings and purses and shit, why not just figure out a way around the whole prostitution dilemma? Take technology and just bypass all those other institutions in between. All those superfluous spending things in between. And I the dolls, you will get some. It does feel real in some ways, but you just need to take it a little bit further. And if you take it as far as I think we can take it, all of a sudden you'll have something that, most guys today, they don't even want to go out and date. A lot of guys don't want to do that because they're satisfied with their porn. But if you could take a doll technology and project a real woman into it, and you pay her like $30-$40 for a half hour, and you're sitting at home and you're basically doing whatever you want, and you feel the same release that you would have from sex, then you're not going to even bother to go out looking for dates. So it'll change the whole dynamics of the sexual marketplace. The other
Wow, it sounds like when I lived in Asia, $20-$30.
Exactly.
And she doesn't really speak. That's good.
Yeah, so this is exactly what you pretty much hit the nail on the head, right? You know what it's all about. So, but it would impact women in the West the most, because all of a sudden, it would drop their marketplace value. People wouldn't want to interact with them, and but at the same time, doll technology like that would mean that many women in the West would continue. They would set up their own cam channels, and they would be making money off of it. So the women who are against it would have to go against the women that were for it.
Right.
So you would create this kind of a split in the female population, where some women would be for it and some women would be against it. Divide and conquer.
Well,
because they fight each other.
Yeah, if there's money to be made off of through sex, there's always going to be a lineup of women somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
That's because that's for women. The thing about women in the context of what we're talking about, and I think it's observable to all of us, is that really what they, especially Western women, but what they really think is the most valuable aspect of themselves to society and men is their cunt.
Well, their whole appearance, their whole body, the wrapping, everything. Right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, ultimately, it's that hole between their legs. But you're right. It's they understand. I think there's not a woman alive that doesn't understand what her sexual marketplace value is. So I think you'd have a lineup of women willing to do that, and besides that, you wouldn't. In my opinion, another part of that technology you're talking about, just being able to project a kind of a lifelike looking image of a celebrity that would react, that's a fucking moneymaker, man.
Well, you can do that. You can, in terms of using something like, deep fakes. So you could take a real woman, and eventually, you could project her image into the doll, but you'd run it through a processor, so her face would change to a celebrity face.
I see, yeah.
Would interact. You can do that too, but again, that's a little bit further along. I'm not gonna deal with that yet. And also, there's all kinds of copyright and image issues with that, because the moment anyone accomplishes that kind of a hack into that technology, celebrities are gonna be pissed, right? Because anyone can fuck them. Who's gonna read their magazine articles? Who's gonna look at pictures of them in the tabloids? Who's gonna sit and watch Entertainment Tonight when they can just go to the technology and just be, I want to fuck this person and this, and see that person projected on another person interacting. So
what you're actually saying is I can get Angelina Jolie before she chops her tits off?
Exactly.
I like that.
So you could go and get all the images of her in her early 30s, late 20s, and you could project those onto a woman who's in her early 20s, who's got a voice that's similar to hers, and then project that into the doll. And then, the technology would pick up the woman's facial expressions and her voice, and it would just, take all the other data and put it on her face. So it would look like Angelina Jolie when she's younger. Hell, you could go back to the 1920s, 30s to all the starlets.
Yeah, I'm sure turd-flinging monkey's going to like a Betty White.
Yeah, you can get Betty White from the 1950s, right? So there you go. But again, you can do that, but all of a sudden, who owns the photos? who owns the right to their own image. Like if the person's dead, like who owns the image of the dead person? Like, you know, Elvis has got an estate that, you know, goes after anyone that tries to like copy his Elvis.
Or what if I take a photo of a girl in the subway and then bring that home?
You could do that. You could go on her Facebook page and you could download 10 or 20 of her photos, and then you could you could do that of her as well. So you could fuck all your friends without them even knowing it.
Great.
That would be amazing. Just take some random chick off Facebook and fuck her.
Act doll and put your mother's young face into it, and that would really fuck you up.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Just as you're about to have an orgasm, right? Like.
Well, who liked that? Freud, right? The guy who founded psychology. He had this infantilizing about fucking his own mother.
Yeah, Freud doll.
Yep.
Yeah, the Oedipal complex or whatever it is. Yeah, you could do all kinds of things. I mean, this is the thing, right? Like technology like that would free people up. Now, there's other technology that I've been exploring that people aren't even really thinking about. Like, you know, when girls take their phones and then they do those stupid dog pictures where they take the dog and the lips and the tongue and the ears of the dog appear in the nose. You know what I'm talking about, right? And it's like 3-4 second videos with them doing that. The technology actually follows their face and projects all that stuff onto them. So imagine standing in front of a giant TV that's, you know, the size of a wall, you know, 100-inch TV, whatever, and it's got a camera on it, it's picking you up, and then it's projecting another person on top of you. So you could be like, you know, young Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Like, and be like posing in front of the TV, right? So you could do all kinds of things, right? So, you know, if you take a woman and you put her in front of that TV, she could, you know, all of a sudden her appearance will change, her skin color might change, all of this stuff might change as long as you're looking at that TV. Right. So that's another aspect of the sexuality thing. Like it creates a whole other level of fantasy that a lot of people aren't even aware of.
Yeah. Rico says this isn't Sandman, this is TFM. No, it isn't. I don't know. I don't know what Rico's talking about. Rico, you're going crazy, buddy. Paul Hart says he's Paul Wilson. Good to see you, Paul. I haven't seen you in a while. Bob Joe says, or you can just go gay. I took the gay pill. Now I have no problems.
Well, apparently, like the gay men I've talked to have a problem, which is they want relationships and they can't get them because a lot of the gay guys have so many options that they're just like, why should I bother being in a relationship? I'll just go fuck as many guys as I want. Yeah. All right. So, and you know, and now the 1970s are back because of the stupid PrEP pill that they have. So it prevents them from getting AIDS.
What?
So, yeah, look it up. There's a pill called PrEP, PrEP, and it basically you take this pill and you can go and have as much promiscuous sex as you want. And apparently, don't quote me on that, but apparently it prevents you from getting AIDS.
Oh well, we'll see about that, I guess.
Well, people are taking it, so it must be working. So, but yeah, like a lot of the older gay guys who are like their 40s and 50s, they told me they're like, look, it's just too much promiscuity. Nobody wants to have a relationship. So, you know, I talked to a couple of them about MGTOW, and they said, yeah, MGTOW, relationships between men and women are going to turn into what they are for gay men. This is about maybe 5 to 10 years ago I had this conversation. And, you know, I said, what would cause that? He said, all it's going to take is something like Grindr, which is the gay version of Tinder. And we have Tinder, so, you know, relationships are, people are getting less, so, you know, it is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, thottery's gotten out of control. Like, it's kind of sad. I've got an Instagram account. I don't use it that often, but I flip through it, and it's just thought after thought after thought, man. And there's no limit to what a thought looks like. They can be your average cam girl looking makeup. They can be fat. They can be ugly. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Well, it's narcissism at this point, and the problem is if you watch any of Sam Vaknin's video, I think we talked about him before.
Yes.
He talks about how people have to up themselves. You know, you not only compete against the world at large, but you have to up yourself. So if you got so many likes or so much attention in the past, now you got to try to outdo yourself. So the thottery is just going to get worse and worse. And a couple days ago, somebody sent me an article they wanted me to review. This woman called the Bikini Climber. I'm going to put out a video called Bikini Climber. Mm-hmm. And she was this Taiwanese girl. She was 36, so she's already left over women for Taiwan. She's too old. She's obviously, well, I don't know obviously, but she looks like she's unmarried. So what she does is she climbs up mountains, and then she poses in her bikini on top of the mountain. And so she ended up falling 60 meters and hurting herself. And then she called a friend, and they couldn't get her off the mountain in time, and she died on the mountain. So it's like,
Jesus
Christ. The pushing to the extreme behaviors, right? So like last year there was a woman who was who does all this kind of roof topping. So she'll walk around like on roofs, with no wires and just kind of like, risk falling off one wind gust the wrong way and she's dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then who else did I see? There's another guy who jumped from buildings into pools that were on the roofs of other buildings, and he ended up missing the pool and he ended up breaking like his pelvis and one of his legs or something. Horrible. And he actually gets the accident on video as he's jumping, right? He's like, oh, and then boom, he hits the pavement, and then he falls into the pool after hitting the pavement. So he missed it by like a couple feet.
Man, that's insanity. That's narcissism out of control. Let me quickly go to the comments because there's somebody's shouting at you that they love your content. It's Aaron Roten. I figured I better mention it. He said it once, and then the second time was in caps. Paul, I don't know who is it. Paul Hart. Yeah, Paul Hart says there was this is interesting to me. There was 2 professors, females, studying why so many women in the UK are buying sex off men now. Womenwhobuysex.org. That's the big study. I'll definitely look into that, maybe for a later.
Yeah, that's actually worth checking out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to take that. Definitely check that out. Now, the other thing, when you were mentioning about these cam girls type of thing, I was going to say that cam girls already exist. I mean, you're not going to get rid of that thottery, right? so finding huh?
You just take that market and you just give them a piece of technology that they can use to transmit themselves, and they'll take it no problem. There's no issue there.
Yeah, they even have now. I mean, you can go onto those, I don't know what they call cam girl sites, and you can pay fucking money for a vibrator they shove up their pussy to go off. It's insane.
Yeah, but that's you are getting that thrill. It's more basic than what I want to accomplish. But I mean, that's not a bad idea. You could take one of those and you could put it, in a different spot, and then you could also do the vaginal thrusts and do that in addition to. So yeah, that's not sure.
A penny a thrust.
Yeah, you just see something. You get the one donation, and then you just keep thrusting. So somebody sends them like 50 donations as one thrust at a time every like 5 or 10 seconds.
That's incredible.
You have to keep pulling them out and putting other ones in because they run out of batteries. Kind of interesting.
All right. Well, the other topic I wanted to get into. We can come back to dolls if people have questions.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to get into the censorship topic because you brought up to me something about TFM and DDJ, which was related to censorship. Fill me in on what happened to them because I don't know.
Okay, so DDJ, well, he told me a few things that I kind of suspected or I thought about. He said, TFM's gone a little overboard with dolls. And I go, well, yeah, he's got the wardrobe for Celestina, and he's got, he's putting her in his content, and he's got the smile filters, and he talks about it like getting a lot of the same sensations he would from a girlfriend. And I agree with that. Like if you interacted with any of these dolls before, you'll know that you can get the same types of chemicals released by either embracing or having sex with these things, right? So he's not wrong there. But DDJ seemed to think that he went overboard. I thought originally that TFM was just doing it because he's a sponsor of the dollhouse, so he's trying to sell the dolls. So he's trying to.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. That makes sense.
Yeah. So and TFM did say that's what I'm doing, but DDJ alluded to the idea that it was more than just that. So I don't know. Like he said that TFM said. TFM said, "I know it's not a real person," right? He said something along those lines. So okay. I don't know why what happened. But DDJ, apparently there were rumors or talk that he had joined the Red Man group.
What's the Red Man group?
Yeah. So
what is that?
I don't know. They're like guys who talk about like the men's issues. TFM and DJ were on that on their podcast a while back.
Is it
so
okay?
I don't know.
Is it a YouTube channel that I can look up? Because I don't know this.
Yeah, just look it up. Red Man Group. So there's a bunch of
okay.
So I think DJ also had an issue with the fact that he thinks that TFM is bringing too many incels into MGTOW. So I think that's another big issue that he had. And I mean, realistically speaking, there are a lot of incels that listen to the content. But like I said before, if incels want to listen and interact with the community, I have no problem with that. It's better than them going and getting a shotgun and interacting with people in a different way. So, if MGTOW makes them feel good, if they feel like they're part of a community, then that keeps people safe. And that's the good thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't really care if there's incels or TFLers or whatever you want to call them interacting in the community. But DJ didn't like that, it seems. So I don't know. Like, I mean, you can make the argument either way, and what it is.
But the word incel has just gotten so overused that it doesn't really have meaning anymore. I mean, what the hell does it mean now? Is it a guy that wants to get laid but can't?
I mean, for a couple $100, he could get laid with a call girl that's better than any of the women he might have ever been with in his life anyway.
Exactly.
So, but it's not about that. You see, I did a video a while back about the differences between TFL, True Force Loneliness, and incel.
Okay.
And somebody suggested that the difference is that incels want to be desired by women. It's not just enough that they have sex. They want women to desire them. They want women to basically be like, "Oh, you're so hot, I want you," right? They want to feel sexually desired. Whereas TFLers, True Force Loneliness, they're just looking for a relationship or just to hold somebody's hand and get affection, right? So there's, I think you could kind of break that community up into two pieces, right? So one wants emotional satisfaction combined with sexual satisfaction, but it's looking for a relationship. The other side is more interested in getting women's desire, right? And women aren't giving that desire to them without having to pay for it through like prostitution or whatever. So that's causing issues for them. So that's kind of the way I see it. That's just my interpretation.
Well, that's a pretty good interpretation. But when you said a lot like the TFL, the True Force Loneliness guys, they just want a hand to hold and have a relationship. As soon as you said that, the first thought...
That's not mine. So that's what they said on their channels. There's a couple channels said that, right? Like, I think Bill Greathouse said, when we just want, we just want someone to hold our hand because we're sick and tired of holding our own hands. Wow. Stuff. He said stuff like that. So they're just looking for a relationship. They're looking for like female validation. It doesn't even have to be sexual to some extent, right? It just has to be, like attention of any kind, right? But the incels, like look at Elliot Rodger, right? He tried hard. Like he tried hard to look good. He tried hard to drive that car. He had a BMW, and it still didn't work for him. He wasn't desired by women. He didn't like that, and that bothered him. So I think that's part of it right there. I think that's a big issue right there.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, MGTOW would have saved Elliot Rodgers. It probably would save a lot of these TFLs because when you mentioned that to me, and I believe in that's how they define themselves. But when you mentioned it to me, my MGTOW mind, the first thing that went through my mind was, "Good luck with that, buddy." A nice woman to hold your hand? Fuck, good luck.
Well, they're looking for emotional support, right? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But at the same time, the world's changed, even more so in the last 10, 15 years. So that's harder to find. But also, women don't want a weak man, right? And he's saying, "I want someone to hold my hand." He's admitting like he's like a child. He's weak, right? So that could also be the reason why women aren't interested in him in the first place. So I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics going on there.
Well, also you have to remember that the psychology of men isn't really that important to society. So a lot of these issues that men are having, they've been building and building up over decades, because nobody gives a shit.
Well, see, this is really interesting what you say. Nobody cares about the male psychology. Yet, if you remember the 1990s when Oprah was on television, it was always about, we want a sensitive man. You know, they all cared about male sensitivity. They all cared about male psychology. And now that men are opening up and becoming soft, they don't want them, right? It was kind of like this giant shit test on a grand scale. And a lot of men bought into it, including myself. And now they're basically saying, no, we don't want that. Well, why did you socially engineer an entire generation of men to express to how they feel? And then when they cry in front of you, you want to throw them away, right? I mean, that you know, like, but it was a shit test. That's all it was. They wanted to throw that stuff in men's face, so men would get angry, and men would fight back and say, no, you're being a bitch. We're not going to listen to you. And then the woman would say, oh, okay, we can accommodate you. You don't have to open up, right? Like, it's all part of the game, right? And men bought into the game thinking that, hey, if we're sensitive, we'll get laid, and it didn't work that way, you know. So that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's creating a lot of unsound males in the mind, you know, in these days.
Well, it's getting worse in the sense that you see what's going on with the transgendered community. The feminists are now against the transgendered community in a lot of ways. Because what's happening is guys who are like, well, as a guy, I'm a failure. So I might as well get a pair of tits and, you know, put on some makeup and join the trans community. And then go find myself some lesbians, right? Because a lot of the lesbian community, they're actually pushing their lesbian friends to go and date trans women. Wow. So guys are like, wow, I might as well turn myself into a chick and go through chicks that way instead of, you know, being a loser guy who can't get any action.
Yeah.
So now feminists are fighting back, and they're saying that the transgendered movement is about men's rights. Right, and everyone's like, what is this about men's rights? These are men who want to be women, but they can't say, well, these men are actually just masquerading as women to get sex from women, because then that would be diminishing the victimhood status of those trans women, right? And then they would, you know, then the trans woman would say, how dare you say that? You know, I'm going to go kill myself now, right? Because I've worked so hard to look like this woman, so I could fit in, and now you're telling me this isn't good. You know, so they have to kind of be very careful about the way they word their arguments. So it's a men's rights group. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, it's a non-argument, right? I mean, we're pissed off that dudes are getting tits and they're trying to fuck us, but we can't say that because that's culturally and socially inappropriate.
Yeah. Well, all I have to say is you better get on that doll idea of yours, because I think we're in the end times, man. I don't know how much time we got left. Swear to God.
I pull up the plastic heads. I figured out the method of getting the projection in. Now I just have to figure out how to distort the image so that it projects properly. So when you look at the doll, it looks like a real person instead of like a weird projected face on a. Like I have to project something that's two-dimensional onto something that's three-dimensional. But there's a better way to do that, which is take a two-dimensional image, run it through a filter, a video filter, to convert it to whatever you want to project it onto, and then project it that way.
Right.
So that's the and again, it's very basic technology. Like this is all stuff that feminists taught me back while I was in university, how to use new media and how to use, you know, projection and art installations and all this kind of stuff to put together something new and interesting. And I remember bringing great big smiles of joy to their faces when I created projects that just blew them away. But I realized that they wanted them to be political, and I didn't want to take things the political angle. So I'm using all the techniques they taught me, but I'm using it for a completely different thing. In fact, the politics are a little bit different this time. It would be ironic if they saw my inventions one day and were like, what the fuck? He just took everything we taught him to attack the establishment, and he technically built up the so-called patriarchy that much more. That would piss them off.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. That's why we're all rooting for you, man. Just get it done quick before the comet hits us.
Well, we've got time. We're okay. It's just I think the biggest issue with this technology is if it works the way I want it to work, I'm worried that a lot of guys are going to become extremely dependent on it. And it's going to basically be like, you know, right now you got a lot of guys who are single. They might, you know, they don't have girlfriends, but they have all this energy to do things in their life. But imagine now if they get sexually satisfied, all of a sudden they won't have that angst and energy left over to do their work, to work on projects, be inspired to do other things. So it's kind of like, I kind of have to think about how good this technology would be, because if it was too good, it would fuck up a lot of guys, right? Like if all of a sudden you could have sex with any cam girl you want, and there's lineups around certain girls, and you pay her like $30-40, and you got her for an hour online. It's really gonna change a lot of dynamics in our culture. And I'll talk to about my own.
It's already happening, man. It's already happening with Snapchat, with a lot of these webcam girl things. You know, I think it's already there. So if this was to be introduced, it may get a little bit worse. But going by the birth rate and relationships, I think we're already there.
We're already on our way, man. Yeah.
I agree. But imagine if it feeling, if you get the same release that you get from sex, right? It's one thing to talk about, you know, fapping off to whatever material you have in front of you, and whatever thought you have in front of you on your channel or whatever you're watching. Mm-hmm. But it's a completely different thing to be with one of those dolls, because the dolls release completely different sets of hormones, the same types of hormones that you would get from being with a person. And at that point, that would eliminate the chase for a vast majority of men out there. So then, you know, you were talking about women paying for sex. Like you were talking about that website where women, or the study talking about women paying for sex. Mm-hmm. That would be more of a reality. Maybe that's part of it already.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, man. I mean, I don't, like, honestly, when it comes to, for example, me raising a son, you know, it's really hard for me to just kind of root him on and say, yeah, you go find a girlfriend. I can't, like, it's so hard to do that now. You know, it's almost like I'd be lying to him. So
well, yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, so even now, like, as I'm seeing the reality of it, I mean, because I have a kid, because I have a son, he's going through puberty. He's going to be a teenager, you know, at the end of this year. And geez, like, I can't really encourage him to go out and date. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would be cruel to do that. At the same
time. But you should, because women are never going to be as what's the word? As nice and as like open to things as they are at his age, right?
Yes.
The older they get, worse it's going to get.
Yes.
So don't deprive them of those young experiences. Let them have those experiences. You know, just tell them at certain age, women really start to change. Yeah. You know, and all of a sudden it's no longer just fun. You know, she's not going to trap him with a pregnancy at the age of 16, right? Mm-hmm. She's not going to sperm jack him at the age of 17, right? Or she's not going to like divorce rape him at the age of 18 when they're not even married.
Yes.
Right? So he's got this window of opportunity to do all of these things, and he doesn't have to worry about all those risks.
Right.
So, you know, make him aware of that. But later on, once he hits, 20, 25, all of a sudden it's a different game.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah, I agree.
Let him have fun.
Yeah.
Make him aware of the consequences. At his age, at that age, what are the consequences? He does poorly at school, and she breaks his heart.
Yeah.
Or she might go and she could what do you call it?
Cheat on him.
Spread rumors. Yeah, but that's breaking his heart, right?
Yeah.
There's not much there. There's not much there.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just part of growing up.
Yeah.
But then it's all the other stuff after that's completely different.
You know, it's funny talking about that. I was listening. He plays online games, right? And he plays with his friends. He usually plays with people he knows from school. And there's this one girl that he plays with all the time. Her name's Sierra. And one time I was like cooking dinner, and I overheard him talking to her. And he said, Sierra, you've been a bad girl. I'm gonna have to punish you. I said, what the fuck? I swear he's never heard me say that. Jesus Christ.
Well, you don't know what kind of porn he's been looking at either, right?
True.
You'd have to go through his devices and find out all the, see if there's missing history in his devices. If you see missing history, that's it. He's already been looking at everything.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll have to check it out, man. Let me just quickly go to the chats again. Yeah, Paul Hart says we're definitely in the end times. Yeah. A question for Sandman. Why on my Tinder only appear crazy old bitches? Is there anything wrong with the algorithm?
No, it's working perfectly fine.
Oh shit.
All the old ones want a younger guy, so they're all like setting their filter to lower, and all the younger guys are like setting their filter to women around the same age, and that's just how it is, right?
Right.
And their same age are setting the filter to younger guys. So
Actually, I totally agree with that, because what you have is there's the level of thoughterry that's happening now. Women are just they have their pick, so there's so much competition for the young men to try and get women their own age that the older women are taking advantage of that. There's all this leftover men.
Well, it's not just leftover men; it's inexperienced men, right? So they see it as like, okay, this guy is 10 years younger than me, so mentally he's probably 15 years younger than me. So I can manipulate him and I can do whatever I want to him. He's not even going to know what I'm doing to him. I'm so good. I've been doing this for 25, 30 years, and the only people that love me now are my cats. I might as well try with this younger guy, and, I'll get him to eat out of my hand like one of my cats. That's pretty much what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, man. Let me just check a few more of those chats. Hold on a second. Where did my page go? Here it is. Prune picker, Paul Hart. Female robots get AI. They get better rights than male robots. They take men to the cleaners. Robot thoughts. Dear God. Talk about science fiction.
Well, who actually profits from these robot thoughts? I'm going to assume that it'll be men that sets them up and not women.
Well, men will be selling them, yeah.
Yeah, men will be selling it.
Well, all the websites that sell dolls are pretty much run by men, but they're all manufactured in China. So whoever's in China that sells those dolls in the factory is making a fortune. So yeah, I'd like to piggyback.
China?
Sorry?
It all goes back to China now, doesn't it? Fucking making money off the sadness of the West.
I mean, if we can somehow get this sex robot system going and make $1 trillion, we can single-handedly boost China's economy enough to prevent the crash.
No, we need tariffs on this. We need tariffs on this shit immediately. Build the wall. They're not bringing over their Oriental AI robot.
Oh man, Trump could maybe be a problem for those Chinese sex dolls in the near future.
Right.
Wow, never thought about that.
Character. Do you know who Trump's uncle is?
No.
Okay, Trump's uncle was this scientist who actually worked. I don't know if it was the government or he worked from some organization. But when Nikola Tesla died, he was the guy who went through all of Tesla's papers.
Really?
Look this up. I'm not making this shit up.
Okay.
Trump's uncle went through Nikola Tesla's papers when he died in like 1943, 44. So like that's the guy who went through everything, right? So if you think about it, like who knows what kind of information they found in there?
No shit.
And apparently he told everybody, "Oh, there's nothing there." It's like, yeah, okay, nothing. Like at least you could have said there's like a couple shitty ass inventions that don't work, or like that work, a couple things that work really well that we're going to use, and oh wow, that's great. No, there's nothing there, and a couple people told me if he said anything, they would have killed him. They would have been like, you can't say anything about Tesla's whatever invention. So who knows? Who knows what kind of access to what kind of technology Trump has? We don't know, because who knows what his uncle saw? He was a scientist. He went through the papers. How hard would it have been for him to copy the papers and use whatever inventions Tesla developed?
Right.
Right.
Maybe he had blueprints for the ultimate sex doll.
That, or maybe he had blueprints to some sort of like time technology to know exactly what was going to happen, so that Trump could become the next president. I don't know.
Ivanka is obviously an AI robot.
Huh?
I'm saying Ivanka, his daughter's obviously a robot.
Why do you say that?
She looks like a fucking Barbie doll, for fuck's sakes.
Oh.
I'm just joking.
I don't know. I don't pay too much attention to Trump's kids, I guess, but
I hate them.
No.
I don't think Trump pays too much attention to them, except for Ivanka.
Ivanka is really his wife.
Right.
Yeah, no, she probably helps him out with everything. Like his sons, I think he just looks at them and he wants to cry or he does a face palm or something, and that's pretty much it.
Why don't we get into censorship a little bit? Because I know that's a topic you wanted to discuss. Yeah. And now, what we want to talk about here, listeners, is a little bit of what's happening with YouTube and how YouTube is changing a little bit with the censorship. So why don't you start us off, Sam? Man, you had quite a bit on information on the topic.
So from what I gather, on 25th of January, YouTube put out a video for its creators. And by the way, that video got a lot of downvotes. Actually, no, that was a video after that. But the video they put out had to do with eliminating suggested videos for videos that were flat Earth theories or conspiracy theories, 9/11 theories. And they said, anything that's misleading or they left it open-ended. So whatever they don't like, they can kind of reduce the amount of suggested videos that new videos get.
Right.
So after that, I'd say about 5-6 days, closer to February the 1st, I started noticing a noticeable drop in my traffic. And it had to do with videos that were uploaded after January the 25th. So anything I uploaded before that was still okay. So, I've got maybe another 30 videos I have to release. But the newer stuff that I release is being affected by this algorithm change. I'm starting to see a video I released yesterday got 0 suggested video views. 0.
Wow.
How does that happen? That's what they were saying for conspiracy theories. They were going to get rid of all suggested views for things like flat Earth. Well, MGTOW is now technically a conspiracy because you've now done to MGTOW what you've done to these flat Earth channels. And there were 3 other channels. I saw James Alsop. I saw Sticks and Hammer 666. His subscriber growth drop in half. So a lot of the new traffic the channels get comes from suggested videos. People see a suggested video, they click on it, they watch it, and they're like, "Oh, I've never seen this guy before," and then they subscribe. Right. So there's a huge amount of traffic that comes from that. So it hasn't so much affected older videos because a lot of my older videos, 40% of their traffic still comes from suggested videos. But the newer stuff, it goes anywhere from 0 to 20 to 30% suggested now, and it's really disappearing. The suggested videos, I release a video, I might be lucky to get 15% of its traffic, 20% suggested. So today's video I released, I can't remember what it's called. It's is the juice worth the squeeze? And I looked at the suggested video. It's only getting 9.5-10% of its views from suggested, right? So the rest is coming from notifications, searches, from the browse option, which is to browse, your homepage and to go into your subscriptions. So, my traffic is down on newer videos. I'd say, they were averaging about 25,000 before. Now I'd say they're going to average around, when all's said and done, 17,000, 18,000. So YouTube, let's say, is reduced my traffic by about 25%. Let's say, I'd say that's reasonable by just eliminating or reducing the amount of suggestions I get. And I think the idea is they want to eliminate as much traffic from channels that they don't like, but they can't just get rid of notifications because people want to be notified about the videos they want to watch. So if I click on the bell, I want to see it. But people also complain and say, I put you in my notification feed and I'm not getting your videos. What the hell is going on? Mm-hmm. So I get a lot of people already saying that. They can't get rid of the subscription fee because if they got rid of subscribers, how would you even know who to find? How would you know to find the channels you want to watch?
Yeah.
Right? You wouldn't be able to find the content you don't regularly watch. So you go to BitChute. There's no, be like, fuck it, I'm going to go somewhere where I can actually see who I'm subscribed to. Yeah. So that would be another option. They can't get rid of search, or they can manipulate search, but they can't get rid of it completely because, if you search for MGTOW, what are you going to do? Find a CNN piece about MGTOW and that's it? There's not that much content. So realistically speaking, there's not much they can do to censor. The only thing they can censor is feeding you new traffic based on their algorithm.
Right.
Feeding you new subscribers. So they've effectively done that. So I'm still getting 3,500-4,000 subscribers a month, even though I hid my subscriber count. So I lost a quarter, let's say 20% of my subscribers. So big deal, still growing, right? Like I've lost 1,000 subscribers a month, right? So big deal. I still get another 4,000. So what are you going to do? Like, you know, Sticks and Hammer he was getting somewhere around 12 to 15,000 subscribers. So what? You've knocked him down to 6,000 or 8,000 subscribers a month, right? So what are you going to do? You can't stop this, right? Like unless you start kicking people off of the platform, you can't stop it.
Well, they can ban people.
Yeah, but if they do that, then you're going to start to see more people go over to BitChute, and BitChute start becoming a viable channel and a viable website. Then you're going to start to see people heading over there, because it's like Alex Jones is now only available on BitChute. He has 30,000 subscribers, right? You know, Sticks and Hammer's got 30,000 subscribers. You start banning people off of YouTube, they head over to BitChute. BitChute starts to grow. BitChute starts making money. But BitChute doesn't have to host as much content on its servers because BitChute is doing everything torrent-based. So all of their videos are served on other people's computers, a lot of them anyway.
Well, I'm sure. So, I'm sure what you're talking about now, all the CEOs and the heads down at YouTube. What's their name? Susan Wojcicki? What the fuck? How do you pronounce her name? What? Wojcicki. Susan Wojcicki. Is that a Jewish name?
I think so. I know she is the sister-in-law, the former sister-in-law for one of the founders of YouTube, or founders of Google.
Oh, Google,
so
Jesus.
She got her job because because of merit and not because of who she was.
So anyway, Susan Wojcicki put a video out on the 5th of February. Did you see it? It was
no. What did she say?
Okay, well, it's a 3-minute long video. I don't remember everything, but she talked a little bit about, you know, how they're going to prioritize what they want people to see. She talks about this shit.
They're doing that already. It's already being done.
Yes. And so this is called the February 2019 Creator Letter. But it's interesting. If you go there, it's got 9,000 likes to 57,000 dislikes.
Well, the other video that they put out talking about how they were going to get rid of the thumbs down feature on videos because they didn't. That video got like a ratio of like 2 to 1 down, thumbs down. So that video, people are like, look, if you get rid of thumbs down, then how do we, like, because they're calling them downvote mobs. So that apparently there's mobs of people that roam the internet to downvote videos on purpose. And they're outraged because they're outraged.
You're going to tell me you don't do that, Sandman? Come on, I do that all the time. As soon as I see something to do with, like, you know, Cortez or something to do with Obama, I just click it and down it just for the sake, because I hate progressives and shit, you know?
Yeah, but even if that's the case, who cares? You know, like
they care because there's a narrative, right? The most downed YouTube video is a video done by YouTube, and that's when they released this idea of getting rid of the thumbs down.
Yeah, it's probably this one I'm talking about.
They're already curating content. Look at PewDiePie. PewDiePie wants to put out his content. PewDiePie put the actual Rewind video out this year, and everyone loves it, and it's got all the actual stuff that happened during the year. And his title is YouTube Rewind, but it's actually good, right? So, and everybody watched it and had a good laugh, and it's like, thank you, PewDiePie. And other people started creating their own, and you know, and I think PewDiePie is like up there next to the YouTube one. So they're being embarrassed. They're embarrassing themselves with all these downvotes. Gillette puts out that stupid ad. It's now the 25th most downvoted video of all time on YouTube. Gillette probably didn't think that was going to happen. So they were buying upvotes and releasing the upvotes like 20, 30, 100,000 views at a time. I was watching this. I'm like, how did they just gain 100,000 thumbs up in the span of an hour when everyone's downvoting this thing? So they're trying to control the narrative, right? They're trying to control what's actually happening. But also, what's also really interesting, all the new websites like BuzzFeed and Vice and Huffington Post, they're not new, but what they're doing is there's a video that just came out. If you look up Joe Rogan's podcast, I just watched this a few hours ago, and Tim Pool's on it, and he says what they're doing is they're buying traffic from other places and claiming that it's part of their own network. So they're defrauding investors in those companies. So there's really no traffic to like BuzzFeed and Huffington Post and all these like alternative news platform websites. So what's going to happen is once they're not making any money and they're not getting any more investors, they're going to have to cut their staff back and they're going to disappear. So all these hit pieces that keep coming out, all this stuff that's attacking MGTOW and attacking everything else is just going to start dying off because they're not getting paid. So in a desperate attempt to get paid, they're trying to kill off their competition, having all the MGTOW channels demonetized. So go ahead, demonetize all the channels. Content's still there. What are you going to do?
Mine's demonetized a long time ago, man. Long time ago.
But you still have a single video green, or did you wake up one morning and all your videos were yellow?
No, every time, as soon as I uploaded, it's yellow.
But do you actually contest it and try to fight that?
Yes, I did. I gave up after a while.
Every single video you contest still stays yellow.
Yes.
Verified by.
Yes.
Even though it's not verified, whatever.
Yes.
And when did that happen for you?
It started happening. Oh, geez.
It was early. It was real early when we started doing the videos, right?
Yeah, I think it happened about a year ago is when it really started getting bad. But, I mean, everything I put up, no matter what my content is, no matter what the topic is, every time I put up a video, it says, this is not suitable for advertisers. Not suitable for advertisers.
When you appeal it, does it actually get through or no?
No.
Okay, and then that started happening, like you said, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I survived until November the 15th, and then all the YouTube MGTOW channels were hit. Like, not all of them, but most of them.
Mm.
So, and the ones that took MGTOW off, like, I can understand why Raging Golden Eagle took down a lot of his channels that say MGTOW on them, or he doesn't use the term. But his traffic is, like, nothing now. Like, his subscriptions are down to, like, nothing. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, because people want MGTOW. They're looking for that content. They're not looking for something pretending to be MGTOW. Mm-hmm. The only person that's survived, I think, in terms of using that model is TFM. But TFM occasionally still puts MGTOW in his titles, and he still, uses the term. So, right. But anyone who's used it on a massive scale has been completely demonetized.
Well, and like you said, now probably when you type in MGTOW, if you type in MGTOW, for a lot of people let's say they aren't subbed to certain MGTOW channels, they might get the CNN report on it. So.
But CNN took down that report. They never put it up. They've had it on TV, but they never kept it online.
Oh, okay.
So it's not even. They took it down.
Mm.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg's sister wrote her thesis, I think, for Princeton University on the manosphere, and she lumped in MGTOW. So you can see that, if a Zuckerberg sibling is writing about the manosphere, I mean, what more do you need to know that they're coming after it?
When did that happen?
November of this year. You can buy her thesis. I think it's like $20 off of like Princeton Archive or some shit like that.
Look, the way I see it, if I'm being censored and demonetized, and like once I heard the whole Subscribe Star thing, where like we're not going to allow you to make money off of patrons, but we're going to let porn continue to be served, like in terms of payment processors, I was like, look, I thought these sex dolls were like a step down. In fact, they're a step up because there's more market there, and actual there's less shaming language there than there is for MGTOW content. Like this is insane. So I'm like, okay, you take away my monetization, then I start up Subscribe Star, you take away my Subscribe Star. Meanwhile, now it's been reintroduced. But when they took it away, I was pissed. And that's when I really ramped up the doll stuff that I'm working on. Mm-hmm. So
it's so crazy. It's crazy that they attack MGTOW and men that speak facts, but at the same time, YouTube promoted ISIS and Al Qaeda to go to war in Syria through YouTube as a recruitment tool. So you have people beheading videos, people recording with their iPhones, running around in a battlefield, killing civilians and Syrian soldiers up on YouTube. And there was Al Sham jihadist group, and they have their own YouTube channel where they got like 10, 20,000 subscribers, all written in Arabic, and that was in 2013, 2014. Since then, they have, because of the way the Syrian war progressed, they've obviously taken down the overriding majority of these videos. But YouTube played a hand in the killing of 500,000 people.
Yeah, that's crazy shit. Well, we know what the narrative is. Let me quickly go to the chats here. Bob Joe says, Ayam is practically the leader of the PLO. He's not wrong. I was the leader of the PLO. No longer. Sandman is gay. I don't think so. we've got a lot of new viewers.
It would be so much fucking easier.
Somebody asked here, like a lot of, I'm getting a lot of new viewers on the channel based on like a lot of the guests I've had. So some of them I don't recognize. Like I don't recognize Bob Joe. Prune Picker. I don't recognize Prune Picker. He says, "What's MGTOW?" So Prune Picker? Were you just like
your video got suggested to somebody?
Yeah, when I had Red Pill Philosophy on, I pulled a lot of his viewers over to my channel, and so I'm getting a lot of new people on here that aren't necessarily coming here to hear MGTOW content, but perhaps other issues we've talked about, because we don't. Lamprey and I kind of we try to balance it out between MGTOW and then other stuff, right?
MGTOW's our bread and butter, obviously.
Yeah, MGTOW's our bread and butter, but we kind of branch out. So if Prune Picker's asking what's MGTOW, you're listening to it, man.
It's the Boy Scouts without all the girls in it.
Right, that's right.
So here's something else I got to bring up. It's really interesting and kind of freaky, scary, but so we'll see what kind of consequences it leads to. So I don't know if I told you guys that I was doxxed. My brother told my sister-in-law about MGTOW, right? And my channel. And let's just say it didn't go over so well. Okay?
Really?
Yeah. So, and on top of that, through the grapevine, I hear that my ex-girlfriend has also learned about my MGTOW channel. So, yeah, that's going to be very interesting. But she's, I'm not going to mention how I heard because I don't want the source to get thrown out there.
Right.
But I find it very interesting. They could be listening to this right now, for all I know.
Ooh.
Right? They've been going. My sister-in-law's been going through my videos, and she went and she basically started picking stuff out that I'd said, and she started making us think about it.
Oh my God! So she was upset about it.
Yeah. To say the least, I guess.
Wow,
I'm not going to talk about it because,
that's okay.
Again, I don't know who's listening, and yeah.
I don't. Nobody knows what I do except one buddy here, who we've had on as a guest, and he's a guy that's, his life has been ruined by divorce and child custody battles. So I'm safe with him knowing, but nobody else. I don't tell anybody that I do this shit, man, and I can't even imagine what would happen if a lot of people I know found out, man.
I'm going through my old videos now, and I'm going through with the trim tool, and I'm taking stuff out. So
really,
yeah, yeah. I'm going through my videos. Anything that I mean, technically, I'm not mentioning names. I'm not saying any legally. I'm not going to be in trouble because I'm not saying anything identifiable for specific people, right? But you never know how crazy some people can get, right? So I'm just taking as much of my personal stuff in terms of any kind of personal story that could piss somebody off. I'm taking it out. I've taken some videos down. I took down about 500,000 views worth of videos down in the last month because of this.
Wow.
So,
well,
I have a long way to go until I get rid of everything. I got to listen to 1,600 videos or some ridiculous shit.
Yeah. Hey, moderators, if Bob Joe keeps getting out of hand, just boot him. Anyway, I want to go to some of the questions here. We picked up a lot of trolls over the years too, man.
They come and go.
They come and go, yeah. I want to do this. Oh, yeah, this Greg Q said something interesting. He said the concept of YouTube is not workable on a long-term scale. He mentioned YouTube has over 10 million uploads per day. They cannot keep up with the server demands. That's what all the issues are about. What do you think about that?
No, they're doing fine. I mean, I don't see any. How many times has YouTube gone down? I mean, they're perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think they went down once.
2 hours, last year sometime. That's it.
Also,
BitChute is now uploading 1 or 2 videos a minute. So they're getting about 700 videos a day so far. It's peanuts, but if you look at all the people that I like to watch are on BitChute. So I'm starting to watch BitChute more and more. And I'm shooting a lot of my Facebook and my Twitter traffic over to BitChute. So I'm getting 400, 500, 600 views per video on BitChute.
Okay.
And if anyone out there is listening, subscribe on BitChute because that's where it's going to be, especially if YouTube censors even more.
Yeah, I made an account, but I haven't really used it yet. But it's probably going to happen soon. I've been busy logging all my videos because I don't have all of my videos saved on my hard drive. So I've been going through downloading every one of my videos for fear that tomorrow they'll be gone. Alvaro de Bazan says, so now we know who voted down Sandman's ex. Maybe that's where we got the downfall from, man. You never know. Also, MGTOW Black Clover has a question for you, and we did touch on it a little bit a few minutes ago. It says, TFM or DDJ, which side are you on, Sandman?
Well, it's a complicated story because when all this shit started happening, I got a message from DDJ telling me he was going to attack TFM. I don't know why he contacted me, but he did. And I the same stuff I talked about earlier, where I said I agree that sometimes TFM sounds like he goes a little overboard with the doll love, and I thought that was kind of like it's a valid point, but TFM cleared that up, and there were other things that DDJ mentioned, which were Turtling Monkey being socially isolated. Look, I'm socially isolated if I'm working on YouTube. I'm doing one video a day. He's putting out 2 or 3 videos a day, plus making ads, plus going on social media, plus playing video games. He doesn't have much time to socialize. Mm-hmm. He's going to be socially isolated. That's part of the game, right? So this is not like, it's not like, some sort of epiphany or anything. This is stuff that we know is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So I spoke to TFM behind closed door, which I chatted. I told him, I'm like, what the hell's going on? And he said, just stay out of it. And I go, okay, that's fine. So, I listened to both sides. I mean, I don't know what the fuck is going on because I don't know how people live their lives behind closed doors. I don't know who DDJ's real friends are. I don't know who TFM's real friends are. I don't know if either of them is putting on an act. I don't know.
Have you ever noticed that they both sound a lot alike?
No, they're different people. They're totally different people.
I know that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, have you noticed?
Well, they were working together for quite some time, right? So maybe they had a...
What if they are the same person? Well, anyway, go on.
I and TFM are the same person. So all of a sudden, I think it's probably feminists trolling us and saying, you guys sound the same, trying to create an NPC meme for MGTOW. I think that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we all think alike in an echo chamber, which I highly doubt, because we all have our own opinions and we all argue with each other and we don't all see eye to eye on many issues.
Yeah.
You see eye to eye on everything, it seems.
Well, I'm just kind of that's one thing I don't miss about being more connected to the MGTOW community is that kind of drama, that drama. I don't miss that.
And you don't have time for it. You got your son, and you got your show on once in a while. But producing the amount of content that I produce is just insane. I have to dance like a monkey every day in terms of I got to think of something unique and interesting to say.
Right.
And
how do you keep it fresh? How do you keep it, not rhetorical over and over and over again like many other MGTOW providers? That's the reason why me and Ayam discuss other topics, because I mean, how many times you want to hear about women not fucking? How many times you want to hear about, guys being isolated? How many times you want to hear about guys, in their ails in the society that we live in?
I think it has to do with the amount of time you repeat yourself and how often you repeat yourself. So if you say the same thing every 400th video or 300th video, then you're basically, people will have forgotten what you said a year ago, right? Some people don't. Some people, hey, you said that a year ago. And I'm like, fuck, how did you remember that? Right? So you kind of have to you keep it fresh by reintroducing old ideas with a new twist. And so that's kind of what you kind of have to do. And so long as you can do that, or like sometimes you do update videos, right? Like, or sometimes, so when somebody gives you a video idea like the bikini climber, it's like a golden present wrapped up under your Christmas tree. It's like, I don't even have to think about this. Somebody just gave it to me. And a lot of the time, my videos, everybody's giving me donations and giving me the question. So I don't even have to think about what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I have to provide the remedy. And I think a lot of why I'm successful and a lot of people come back is because they're not necessarily there to hear me. They're there to hear somebody else bring up a new question.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what a lot of it has to do with.
Yeah.
So, but lately people have been sending me these giant questions that take up like 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm having to cut them down to like 2 minutes. Some people send me like 10-minute questions, and I'm like, I gotta cut it down to like 3 or 4. Like it's,
Wow.
you know, and in the last couple of weeks, I've released a few of those videos, and people are like, hey, the real video starts at 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Like, fuck, well, thanks for letting everybody know.
So they
right?
send you a question in the form of like a short story?
Huge questions sometimes. Huge.
Wow. Well,
So-
that does show one thing, that there's people that have real genuine interest in the topic, man. To put that much effort into a question.
Right. I've had politicians send me questions. I've had people who are relatively influential send me questions. Just keep my identity. I'm like, okay,
you can't drop any names?
no, not dropping.
Shit.
And they know if they're listening now, they're gonna be like, good, don't say shit. It's like, okay.
Right. Rico says, wants me to ask you about Sailor Spoon. I don't know what that
Yeah,
means.
I've been to those old videos. She was this girl that I briefly dated back in, say, May of 2014. I went through those videos again, and I'd noticed the quality of my content went to shit when I was seeing her for like 2-3 weeks.
Oh, I
like it
imagine.
went really bad. So like, so I can only imagine what's going to happen as I get closer to the 2015 girls that I dated and see how my content went downhill those few months that I was with them. So, you know, it's like what happened to her. She got together with some guy. She got a cat and a dog, and she didn't have any children, and she gained a whole bunch of weight. And she's just bitchy as always.
Typical.
So she tried to monkey branch back to me because she knew that I wanted to have a kid like a few years ago. So I saw her last summer, and she basically said, "Oh, do you want to have a child?" And I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, "What?" I went up with her for the day. We went to this like event, and she brought her dog along, and you know, and I'm like, "What the fuck happened to you? Like you gained like 40 pounds in the wrong places." It's like, what the hell is going on here?
Jeez.
And got a dog.
Yeah. So, you know,
Is she
it is what it is. Sorry?
I was going to say, is she fucking the dog? Because we've had shows on that.
I did a video on that, too. No, she's not fucking the dog. She's got somebody else fucking her like a dog, but that's a different story.
John.
Look, I'm letting it all out, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe I should say that if I want to put this video, maybe I shall have to take that part out because Patreon might be listening and might kick me off of their platform if I put out this content.
Jesus.
You know, or just saying this on your channel might get me suspended on all of Patreon. It's fucking crazy how this stuff. Well, look what happened to Sargon.
I don't know what happened to Sargon. I know he got pushed off, but why? What was the reason?
Well, I don't know if you paid attention to the whole thing that happened with Subscribestar. So Sargon had like 10,000 $10 or $12 or $13,000 a month coming in from Patreon. Like it was a sizable amount of money.
Yeah.
And what happened was he said the N-word on another podcast about 6 months or a year ago or something. And someone at Patreon had heard this, and they decided that this was unacceptable. But it didn't violate their terms. Their terms were, as long as you don't say offensive things on our platform, you'll be okay. Mm-hmm. So they booted him off anyway. They threw him off. So the moment they threw him off, he went and he said, "I'm going to Subscribestar." And everyone's like, "What the fuck is Subscribestar?" "Oh, it's an alternative to Patreon." And then all of a sudden, myself, TFM, everybody went over to Subscribestar. Within 3 days, they were like, I don't know, 200, 300, 400 alternative content producers all on Subscribestar. Remember, Subscribestar only had like 10 people, 20 people there before Sargon got booted off. Suddenly, within a week, Sargon is back to the same amount of donors that he had on Patreon over on Subscribestar.
Wow.
Well, this didn't go over well with the social justice warriors. So somebody contacted Stripe and PayPal and got Subscribestar booted off of Stripe and PayPal. They lost their payment processors.
What
because
the
of this shit.
fuck?
See what I'm saying? Like this, you can't prove collusion, but it's collusion, right? It's like that. It's not alien. but it's aliens, right? Like
That's insane. I did not know that. Thank you for informing me. I heard, if you're on social media at all.
I got pissed because I was like, look, I can't make money. Like they took away the ad. Now they're going to try to take away my Patreon. They could take away the PayPal. What the fuck, right? Like, how the fuck? I can't survive this. This is bullshit.
Guess who owns all those companies?
Who owns all of those companies?
Juice. Want some juice?
You just okay. I don't know. What I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's all right. I could be confusing sometimes. But anyway, yeah. I was just gonna pour myself some juice if you wanted to join me.
I think I'll have some vodka instead. How's
okay.
Okay, so we're gonna talk Russian collusion now.
Well, with a Russian company. It's a Russian company. So the moment Subscribestar appears, they're like, "Oh, that's Russian collusion," right? They're like, "The Russians are helping the alt-right in America." It's like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, you're destroying freedom. The Russians are giving us our freedom back. Like, are you crazy, you fucking idiots? Like, what the hell, right? Like, it pissed me off like you wouldn't imagine. So within a month, middle of January, Subscribestar is back. Patrons are rolling back in. Money's coming in. And now Jordan Peterson's working on an alternative. He left the platform. He was making something like $80,000 a month, and he left off that platform. He said, "I'm leaving. Bye." And then this month, Patreon, they had a whole bunch of problems with processing payments. For the first time in their history, there were payment processing issues. So I didn't get paid until 3 days ago. Usually I get paid the second day after the beginning of the month. So something's going on with Patreon because, they say things like, "Oh, we can't survive because we're too generous." It's like, well, how are you too generous? You take 10% of people's donations, 5% goes to payment processors, and 5% you keep in your pocket. How are you too generous? What are you doing with all that money? Where's that money going? That you're too generous with it, right? And they feel like they're the boss and that we should be grateful that they're giving us money. No, our patrons are giving us money. They're the middleman.
Well, that's.
And they're about.
I was going to say that's sort of the mentality. That's economics 101 for socialists. It's really bizarre, man. And like I said, it's the people that are pushing the socialist agenda, which involves censorship and it involves censorship of opinions that go against theirs, and we're seeing it all the time. But they're the ones that have the fucking money and power to cut you off of these platforms.
Yeah.
That they're fucking making millions of dollars off of.
Yeah. They're capitalists, but they're capitalists for themselves, but they're socialists for everybody else.
Yes.
Right? They want everybody to be poor like a communist, but they want to be rich like a capitalist.
Yes.
And that's what this is about. And the problem is you can't have a society and economy of scale by doing that. Like, you can't have a society where people can consume, but they don't want people to consume. They want to save the world. They want to cram us all into little cities where we live in shoebox apartments while they get to go and travel the countryside and the oceans in their yachts, while we're stuck in little tiny little areas working our lives to death so that they can fucking enjoy life because the resources are going to be depleted. That's what they're trying to survive. They don't want to give up their lifestyle.
No.
They don't want to give up billions of dollars, but they want everybody else to suffer. And what they don't understand is that will work for so long, but at some point it's going to stop working. When it stops working and people revolt against you, you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose it all. And you just have no. And the worst part is they're doing it to themselves. Like they're like, YouTube is like taking the playbook of like MySpace and whoever else died, and they're playing it like, oh, they're trying to do this and make money. Oh, we're going to stop that. Oh, they're trying to make money over here. We're going to stop that. Well, eventually people are going to say, I've had enough. I'm going to leave, right? I'm going to go over to BitChute, and I've stopped pointing my early, tomorrow's videos today traffic to YouTube. I'm starting to point it over to BitChute now. I started that a week ago. right? The moment they started not suggesting my videos anymore, I'm like, well, I can do something. I can point 300-400 views over there instead. I mean, it's not much, but hey, I'll try. I'll start. So they're literally going to MySpace themselves, and they don't understand this. I don't think, like, Susan Wojcicki does not understand that she's going to kill the brand. She's going to make the brand something that nobody wants to go to. Like, I mean, look at BuzzFeed and look at Huffington Post. Look at their YouTube channels. Their YouTube channels are bleeding and dying to death. Look at the Young Turks. Over the last 3 years, the Young Turks' traffic and subscribers have been collapsing. Like, nobody gives a fuck about this social justice warrior crap stuff. It's being crammed down people's throat. Nobody believes it and buys into it anymore, except for the people working at those companies.
Yeah.
So it's going to die. It's gonna be defunded. People giving money to those big BuzzFeeds and Vice companies are gonna say, "Fuck, I'm not giving you any more money. You keep losing my money. Go away. You got no audience. Go away."
Yeah.
And eventually, these are the death throes of the big mainstream media. We're dealing with the death throes of companies that have no idea that they're in death throes. They think they're winning the culture war because they have more money and because they have more, like, official titles and shit. But they're losing. Like, okay, somebody asked me a while back, why does feminism have more searches than MGTOW? And why does feminism look weird in the search results? Like, if you do a search on Google Trends, you notice that feminism has these two spikes that happen every year. They happen during the first semester of school, and they happen during the second semester of school. If you took those spikes of traffic away, MGTOW would be about half to three-quarters, if not almost the size of feminism in the searches. But the thing is, feminism gets promoted by academia. All these people have to write papers about it in their social justice classes and their classrooms. So it gets all this extra search result and interest. So it's being propped up by the government, by
the education system. That's insane.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is all these, the feminists have to leave the education system, and they have to find jobs to warrant their social justice degrees. If there's no job at the end of that gender studies degree, and they can't work for Vice writing columns about how I love my cat, then the whole fucking education system doesn't work. People aren't going to be going to school for that.
Well, you heard also recently Vice just laid off like
a
quarter
that's
of their
what I'm
staff.
10 to 15% across the board on all three of these companies, like BuzzFeed, Huffington Post, and Vice.
Vice, yeah.
Right? And they're like, our whole department got sacked. They're like, it's so horrible. It's like, no, you're not making any money. Like, go home. Nobody wants to listen to you.
Yeah.
And then that's why the whole learn to code shit came out. Because it's like, that's it. Like, go learn to code. You told people who worked in factories to learn how to code back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Now it's your turn. Go learn to code. Learn to do some math. Oh, special snowflake can't use a calculator. Sorry.
Well,
you see it already happening. That being somewhat of a traditionalist and being a conservative is now where it is still currently it's somewhat of the subculture, right? And the social justice warrior is like the hero, right? And then people that go MGTOW, they're going to be the cool kids on the block eventually. Right, so you're going to see a transition where the leftism is going to be thrown away, and the people with more traditional values are going to become more prominent again. And then you're going to start to see the same disease happen on the other side when all those former social justice warriors who become right-wing, alt-right people start to infiltrate organizations in another maybe 5, 10, 15 years, and then they're going to do the same bullshit in those organizations and destroy them. And it's a cycle. It keeps repeating over and over again, right? So, like, it goes left, it goes right, it goes left. Yeah, but at the same time, the state's getting bigger, which is more the major concern.
Yeah, the right and the left are increasing the size of the state. The problem is, at some point, you're going to run out of other people's money. And what the communists and socialists don't understand is the buildings, the factories, and the goods that you produce are not the capital. And the money is not the capital. The value is found in the people that produce those goods. Mm-hmm. Because if the people stop producing, all your factories and money is worthless. They don't seem to understand this. They seem to think that, it's that guy with all that money that's evil, right? That's not the evil person. The good people are the people that work and produce and create. They don't see that. They don't see that they're hurting the producers. and they don't care. They just they want what they want, and that's it.
Yeah. Also too, if you use the words "learn to code" on Twitter, they'll kick you off.
Yeah, but apparently, if you put all the women at the State of the Union address in Klans hoods, you can get away with that. Right? Did you see what happened? Like
No.
like either it was BuzzFeed or Huffington, but one of the big 3 companies said, "This is horrible." This meme where they took all the women who were dressed in white blazers at the Trump State of the Union address, and they put white hoods on them to kind of match them all together.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the news outlets said, "This is horrible. You guys shouldn't have done this. Whoever did this is horrible." Meanwhile, they created the meme and they put out that on one of their articles. Yeah. They're criticizing themselves.
Yeah, they're hypocrites.
For doing. No, but it's like so blatant. Like, do you not communicate to the other part of your company and tell them? And do they not know what content you put out on a daily basis? Apparently not.
Well, on that level of wokeness, man, I'm sorry, but on that level of wokeness, you don't know the definition of hypocrisy. The word doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. If you went up to them and said, "Don't you see you're being a hypocrite?" They'd say, "A hippo what?" Like it just doesn't exist in their vocabulary. It's gone. They just removed the word. So that's why you see that.
The problem is all of the failures have been propped up. All these people the reason they don't see their own hypocrisy is because they're stupid. Their IQ is too low. They went through their social justice education, then they got their jobs at their social justice companies. They never had to think for themselves. They couldn't think for themselves. And when people call them NPCs, they get pissed off. But it's the truth. And so they don't even know what the problem is. They don't even know why nobody wants to listen to their content. They don't, they're like, "Why is nobody reading articles anymore?" It's like, nobody wants to listen to articles. Nobody wants to read articles. They want to listen to speakers. Like, didn't you hear Jordan Peterson when he said that the spoken word is now more powerful than the written word? He said that, I think, 6 months to a year ago, and I was like, holy shit, he's totally right.
Yeah.
You can communicate faster by speaking, and it bypasses space and time with YouTube and other technologies.
Yeah.
They don't understand the technological revolution and shift that's happening around them. They're still stuck in, the 1990s and early 2000s. They think that having a website is where it is, right? Like, all right.
They also, they don't understand either that the content they produce is garbage. It's not. Nobody wants to read their garbage. I mean, if it was content that people wanted to know about, maybe they'd still have their jobs. But nobody wants to read that shit, man. And again, like you said, I agree. They're so stupid they don't even know the word hypocrite exists. There's a lot of words that don't exist in their lexicon. It's just not there. It's bizarre.
No, because they're not intelligent enough, because they've been passed through their middle school, high school, because no child should be failed. Everyone has to get through. Then they were sent off to university, and they were pushed through university without even passing their courses in many cases. Then they got a job at $100,000 a year job at BuzzFeed, and they're writing about cats and
well,
like
they grew up during a time where everyone got a trophy. Okay, and that was basically the major problem with what you see a lot of the snowflakes. The snowflake is everyone gets a trophy. And I remember, you guys are familiar with Nickelodeon, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I went to, this is in like the mid '90s. I was really young. I was like 6 or 7 years old, and they had this whole Nickelodeon did this whole promotional thing at Shea Stadium where the Mets play, and they had all like the slime. Everyone gets slimed and everything, and there was like all these games that everyone played, and it was a lot of fun. And my dad got picked to play in some type of game where he had to catch water balls or some shit like that. My dad got absolutely decimated by this elementary school kid, and what was weird is that my father lost horribly, and the guy who was like the host of everything says, "It's okay, you get a trophy too." Then he gives my dad a trophy. My dad comes over to me and says, "I got my fucking ass kicked. Why the fuck do I have a trophy?" I'll never forget that. But again, this was part of Nickelodeon. This is in the mid '90s, and you see the people that are writing for Vox are part of that generation of the people who got their asses kicked but still got a trophy.
Right.
But now it's getting even worse, because now everyone gets a trophy. Like, they get their trophy from BuzzFeed and their $100,000 a year salary. YouTubers create their own content; they get paid. But now they want to take they want to demonetize everybody and take away their traffic, because somehow it's not fair that, other people can make money having a different opinion.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's not fair. We want to take your trophy away. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
well, what the hell? Like, what did I do? Like, doesn't everyone get a trophy? Well, apparently not anymore. Right? Like,
not only that, but you see that the left is giving accolades to just new organizations, new groups. Here's a trophy for you promoting the transgenders of Weasel Fuck Kansas. Oh right, thank you. And they have buffets, and people are clapping, applauding, and they're just there for the food. They're just there to meet people, but they're giving trophies out for fucking nothing. And you see this with the UN. You see this with not-for-profits. You see this with NGOs where they'll have some type of gathering in Dubai. Promote, and a lot of these type of accolades and these type of organizations are promoted by very, very wealthy, nefarious people.
A
Yeah.
couple of days ago, I was scripting a video. Somebody went back to his 45th high school reunion. I'm like, holy shit! And he saw this thing in the hall, this American flag with a rainbow America flag with all these different things, all these different sayings on it, like equality, everyone is equal, blah blah blah. It's like, well, but yeah, that's that term equal. It's equality of outcomes, right? So if you live in a society where we have equality of outcomes, it's fucked first to begin with. But we had equality of opportunity back in the 90s. We solved the equality problem.
Yeah.
Women in the 90s and early noughties were equal to men. They went to the same schools. They could get the same jobs. If they worked just as hard, they were in the same classrooms and they got the same mark. We had equality, real equality. But that wasn't enough, because now we had equality. So all these organizations that fought for women's rights, for gay rights, they're like, well, what do we do now? We solved the problem. We're all going to get fired. We got to make a new problem. So gays have rights. Even the conservatives accept gays. So we can't really say fight for gay rights. Well, gays already have rights. What do you want? They can get married. They can do whatever they want. Nobody's hitting them. They're being left alone. Well, okay. Well, we got to come up with a new market. What about transsexuals? Okay. Well, how many of them are there? Not enough. How are we going to make more of them? Introduce the school curriculum. Get kids to question their own sexuality. Get them to start putting on bras. It'll be the next big thing, right?
Yeah. Well,
you got to think they're like, we're going to get fired. We're going to lose our livelihoods. We got to make a new problem. So that's where all this whole trans agenda is being pushed from, and what it's doing is it's creating other social problems that need to be solved and addressed. So, and that's going to make more money for the people who push these problems.
It's an expansion of the state.
That's true. That's another thing. It's expansion of state. That's what I was going to say. The equality they talk about is a smokescreen, because you're not equal to them if you don't agree with their opinions. You're not equal to them. You're less than them. If you don't agree with their opinion, there's no equality there. You're less, they're better. Their agenda is all that matters. The only thing that matters is the power of their agenda, more than money itself, which is why companies that go woke are going broke, because the money isn't the fucking bottom line. It's their goddamn ideology. Mm-hmm. I want to go through the comments here. I'm kind of backed up a bit. Prune Picker says, never name the bagel. I didn't, man. I was talking about juice. Let's see what else we got here. Anything interesting in the chats, gentlemen? Okay, here we go. Please ask Sandman, this is Jorn Verschuer, maybe Dutch guy. Please ask Sandman where he sees MGTOW and Western society and single motherhood heading future-wise, like 20 years from now.
No, if we have sex robots, if you have the thing that I've been talking about, the doll that you can interact with, I can see a lot of money. Like, if we can free ourselves from dating and relationships, then that'll allow us to have more of a free headspace. At least some of us, anyway. I think about 20% of guys will say, you know what, the dolls have been fun. I'll use them occasionally, but I think I'm gonna focus on myself. I'm gonna focus on making myself the best person possible. Mm-hmm. And if only we get 10% of men in the society doing that, I think society will see a lot of progress. I think we'll really start to see a lot of changes.
Yeah.
But where MGTOW is going specifically, I think at that point, if we could free ourselves, we'd have to work on the problem of the artificial womb. I mean, to have a future as a society, we need to procreate, but we need to find a way to do it without destroying our like sanity and our rights. Yeah. That's the only way that I can see it. I can see it happening. Yeah. So,
artificial womb, man.
If the doll works, I will take every dime that I make off that doll, and I'm put it towards the artificial womb. Yeah. Like, I mean, if I make so much money that I don't know what the fuck to do with it, that's what I'll do. That, and of course, security. I think the technology that, like, having a doll that you can see a person's face and it looks like I think taking a robot and putting a human face so the human can actually control that robot would be the next step in terms of robotics. Mm-hmm. Why AI? Why not, you sit at your desk and you can control a robot that goes into a war zone with a gun, or, they can protect a building. Mm-hmm. They can move around and climb stairs. Like, we have those stairs. Like,
just a remote control.
But not even remote control. You put on a VR helmet and you can see exactly what the robot sees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And then when people look at the robot, they see your face projected on the robot. So they're interacting with literally you, that person on the other side.
Right. Well, that kind of solves the issue of the danger of AI, right? Everybody's talking about it. Oh, AI will be the death of us.
Yeah. No. See, the thing is, look at it this way. Think of an army. Think if you had 10,000 robotic soldiers, okay? Mm-hmm. But you only had 100 guys. And you could control those. You could control all that large number of soldiers. So say your army, you sent out 1,000 guys at a time, or 1,000 robots out at a time. Mm-hmm. That were controlled by 1,000 guys. Those 1,000 robots get destroyed. Those guys just download themselves into the next 1,000 robots, and they just keep coming. So it becomes like a swarm. Like, you can't stop it. Like, as long as the robots come off the assembly line faster than you can destroy them, that's it. Whoever has that technology wins. So that's what I'm saying. Sex robots, artificial wombs, artificial armies that can basically be controlled remotely. Yeah. I think those are the things that, at that point, we can defeat any foe that comes our way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Jorn also asked me a question: which country are you located? I am now in Canada. Paul, I'm no longer in Indonesia. I've been in Canada now for 2.5 years. So
he's in the productive part of Canada, the good part of Canada.
Yeah, the west. Well, not too far west.
Not too far west. Yeah.
You go too far, man, it gets all unproductive again. Holy shit. God, what is it about the west coast of places? I don't know.
Because it's Portland, it's Seattle that's infected the same area. It's the same mentality.
Yep.
It's fucked up, man. Really fucked up. Although, I mean, it's getting bad here. I mean, now we have those free injection sites. The town I'm in has a free injection site, and it's it was the only city in the southern part of the province that accepted it. And man, has that just turned downtown to a shithole, man.
Let me ask you this: how much does a typical semi-decent one-bedroom run in your town?
Here, probably, like, for rent?
Yeah.
I'd say about $1,200, $1,000. It's pretty cheap, man.
Yeah.
It's cheap.
But you see, the thing is, in Ontario, around here, because the leftists have put a green belt around Toronto, everything within driving distance or in Toronto is now like $1,500 to $2,200, $2,300 for an apartment.
Yeah, that's what it is in New York, $2,200, $2,500.
Yeah.
But you're talking more like Queens and like east parts of Brooklyn. Right?
Queens and Brooklyn, it's about that. Long Island, it's about $1,500. Manhattan, God, you're paying over $3,000.
Yeah, but how do you justify Toronto? How do you justify New York prices in Toronto? Like, this is insane. And
I don't know what the cost of living is there. I don't know much. I've never been to Toronto. I know very little about it.
You're close.
Average
you should
go. Average one-bedroom rent is, say, $2,100. Car is going to run you pretty much more than in the States. So let's say car expense will be $800 a month. Food, I'm spending about $500-600 a month on food because I have to eat a very specific diet. So you're looking at right there $3,600, $3,700, and you still haven't paid for phone, internet, clothing, anything else, right? So you're looking at for one person in a 1-bedroom apartment with a car, you're looking at like $4.5 grand a month.
Damn.
Right. So at the same time, you're not able to save money, so you can actually buy a piece of property.
And we're not, you're not even be able to say, if you want to buy a property, a 1-bedroom condo is now like $600,000.
Yep.
And
Sounds about right.
a 3-bedroom bungalow house is like $1.1 million.
I just sold a 1-bedroom co-op for a little over $400,000 in Queens.
But that's Queens. Like that's a good place to live. Like you're close to New York. Like Toronto is, mind you, it has a lot of amenities, but there's probably like 1/10, maybe 1/15 of the stuff that you have in New York to see and do that you have in Toronto.
Queens is really cool. I love Queens, man.
I was there a couple of years ago. I went down to the I love the elevated subway, and I went all the way down to the World's Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Those where the tennis courts are, and I've seen a hotel down there because it was like, I could park my car, and stay at a hotel and drive into Manhattan. It's like 20 minutes away, so it's not that bad.
Right on.
Well, now because the big fear now is that they want to put Amazon in Queens and Long Island City, and man, there is such backlash over it because they know if they bring Amazon and the big tech to the East Coast in New York City, New York is no doubt going to start looking like California. We're going to see tent cities popping up and shit.
Well, you guys voted for AOC. Like, what the fuck happened there?
She's my district, man. How do you think I feel? God.
What the fuck happened? Like, how did that cartoon character?
No opposition.
Well, let's talk a little bit about her, if you don't mind, Sam. And Lamprey has been chomping at the bit to discuss AOC. So you don't mind if we go into that a bit?
Go ahead.
So you gave me an article all about AOC. Let me just read the first paragraph to you guys, and then we'll discuss a little bit. It says, she is the flavor of the month. She is an Instagram sensation. She is a wide-eyed, starstruck noob in the halls of power. She is the face of an ascending generation. You already know who I am typing about and have her face forming in your brain. She has hucksters like Cernovich calling her the greatest persuader in the history of persuading. Buy my book and watch my film. I am writing about AOC. Today we will cover the multiple factors to the chattering class current obsession with her. Now, to me, she's just a cartoon character. Before we get further in the article, Sam, I want to ask you your opinions on her for the listeners.
Watch the CNN interview with Anderson Cooper. Like, the guy almost had a double take cringe moment in the middle of it. I'm watching. I'm like, if Anderson Cooper, who can barely get 1,200 people to watch his Facebook Live videos, is doing that, you're in deep trouble. And the worst part is they wanted to do something at the Capitol building, and they were I don't know if they wanted to boycott or they wanted to protest something, and they went to the wrong part of the building thinking that it was there instead.
Yes, that was a great story. You knew about that? How funny is that?
This is like bumbling levels of Inspector Gadget, okay? Like, this is not even... Look, she's 27, 28, 29 years old? Like, I wouldn't allow myself as a 28, 29-year-old man to be in any kind of political power. I'd go back in time and, shoot myself because I wouldn't want to be, embarrassing myself. Okay? Ridiculous. She thinks that, we're going to have the Green New Deal. Okay, well, you want to drive? You still want your $150,000, $200,000 a year government salary, but you want everybody else to live like a fucking Dutch peasant in medieval times? This is not going to work. We're just going to get rid of all the oil. And replace it with what? Cheetos? What are you going to do, right?
Well,
this is just
her new deal.
Nobody takes it seriously.
No.
But she could get elected president. That's the stupid fucking crazy shit.
Well,
because people are stupid. Vote for her.
Yes, I want to get into that, and I'll talk to Lamprey about it because represents his fucking district. So, but as you were talking about the Green New Deal, it's let me just read this. Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal website taken down. after everyone makes fun of her stupid ideas. So
Good.
it's not there
You know
anymore.
what
It's gone.
Look, I was involved in the peak oil community for a long time in my mid to late 20s. I even got a 150-page book that I haven't released about peak oil. And a lot of my predictions were wrong in terms of like the amount of oil. Like I thought for sure by 2016, 2017 we'd be tapping out on oil shale and we wouldn't be able to pull more. Like it would peak and would start going down. No, the production just keeps going up. I'm like, well, the geologists are wrong then.
Yeah.
Like they say there's only this much, yet they're still pulling it out. Like what the fuck's going on? How is America now the world's largest oil producer?
It's a shell
What the
game.
fuck?
It's a shell game. They got enough. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. But it's use up everybody else's reserves first, and then use yours later. I don't know. I mean, I see parts of Europe like the North Sea in Europe is tapped out and is depleted.
Yeah.
I don't see them starting to do fracking in Europe.
Yeah.
But eventually, if it gets desperate enough, you're going to see fracking everywhere. So we're going to be fine for at least a few hundred years if fracking takes off everywhere.
So this Green New Deal, I've got a screenshot of it up right now that has been taken down. I've a screenshot at least of one part of it.
What did she say?
Okay, so let me. It's pretty short. I'll read it. The Green New Deal is a 10-year plan to create a greenhouse gas neutral society that creates unprecedented levels of prosperity and wealth for all, while ensuring economic and environmental justice and security. Sounds like a lot of word salad to me there. The Green New Deal achieves this through a World War II scale mobilization that focuses the robust and creative economic engine of the United States on reversing climate change by fully rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, restoring our natural ecosystems, dramatically expanding renewable power generation, overhauling our entire transportation system, upgrading all our buildings, jump-starting U.S. clean manufacturing, transforming U.S. agriculture, and putting our nation's people to work doing what they do best, making the impossible possible. Any large-scale transformation of society can create the risk of some people slipping through the cracks. That's why the Green New Deal also calls for an upgrade to the basic economic securities enjoyed by all people in the U.S. to ensure enjoyed by all people in the U.S. to ensure everybody benefits from the newly created wealth it guarantees to everyone. And then there's some bullet points. And when I found this article and people were kind of buzzing about it on social media, there was one bullet point that's like underlined and circled, which I think this is the one that got her to just delete it. The last bullet point in a list, and it's, I don't need to read it because it's real generic shit. It's just generic. Good food, clean air, healthcare. But the last bullet point says, economic security to all who are unable or unwilling to work.
Unwilling. Wow. That sounds like a universal basic income to me.
Yeah, really bizarre. But that's what did it. That's what put it over the edge. And now that piece is gone. She took it down, man. Page not found if you try and look for it.
The left just keeps shooting itself in the foot, and it is what it.
That's what I want to ask Lamprey about. Like, who the fuck backed this woman to put her there? I mean, it seems like a horrible idea.
She came from the Kennedy branch in the Democratic Party. She was part of. I think she was an intern for Ted Kennedy when she was in her early 20s. She grew up in upstate New York, predominantly white town. She grew up in Yorktown. Her father ran a human rights racket where he shook down condominiums for Local Law 11. For those who don't know what Local Law 11 is, Local Law 11 is part of the buildings department where it strong arms condos and co-ops in doing facade work. So he shook down a condo for $15 million in the projects in the Bronx, claiming discrimination. Right, so he used the human rights, branch of the New York City government, where they discriminated against him for I'm sorry, discriminated against for bidded on a project. So he's claiming that he didn't get the project because he was a minority, being Puerto Rican. Her boyfriend happens to be a very tall Irish redhead, a ginger. But you'll never see that. You'll never see her boyfriend. Actually, the boyfriend is usually on stage with her all the way in the background. Which I find quite comical because it doesn't fit the typical minority, that we all hear about, where she's probably dating a black guy, or she's a lesbian, or she's dating another Hispanic. No, she's dating a 6-foot ginger. Okay, and I do think that whole video of her dancing around on the rooftop was a part of eye candy for guys to click on her and maybe perhaps start listening to whatever the fuck she has to say. Because it was kind of strange where that video came out of nowhere. And, her tits are jiggling. She actually looks semi-cute even though she has a horse face. So I was like, why is this coming out all of a sudden with this video? Now, I knew about her for over a year now when I started working in Queens, and I used to hear people on the street saying, I think she's retarded. And, tongue in cheek, where we actually thought people like, we're talking mailmen, garbage, guys who pick up trash. We're like, yo, she's like retarded, right? Yeah, I think she's kind of retarded. She's not going to go anywhere. And well, look where she is now. And my fear is that she doesn't understand what the fuck she's actually saying. And when you have people promoting her and clapping over stupidity, she's actually going to believe in her own stupidity, and she's going to keep spewing it over and over, where it can actually have some serious ramifications and greater harm to the masses.
Yeah.
I don't like. That's the thing. Is like, there's got to be a motive behind them pushing her in front of the media's face. There's always a motive. There's always a reason.
Sarah Palin of the left. That's what she is.
She's a what?
The Sarah Palin of the left.
Okay, but God, it can't just. She's a complete moron. So, are they just hoping that her looks are gonna get votes or change opinion? I don't understand.
It's a little bit of everything. They know. Look, I mean, if there was a lot of changes in the Democratic fields in New York. I mean, look at the abortion bill that just came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Then I just mentioned Amazon. The whole Amazon second headquarters came the day after the election.
Wow.
Because Cuomo knew he was gonna win. All right, and he was like, you know what? I got this in the bag, and I'm gonna hit them so hard that they're never gonna even see it coming. And this following day, here comes Amazon in Long Island City, $4 billion in tax break. Why are we giving the most profitable country in the world a $4 billion tax break? Can anyone make heads or tails of that?
No.
It's not the most profitable company in the world. The thing with Amazon is, if you look at their balance sheet and you look at their income statements, like you got to look at if you're investing, you got to look at them, and they're making very little money, but based on the amount of money that they're changing hands. And even Jeff Bezos said, I could see Amazon going broke at some point, because the problem is they've now put so many small businesses and so many companies out of business with what they do, and they're not even that profitable. They're all these new tech startups and new tech companies. They make money, but they don't make, except for Google, they don't make as much money as we think they do, right? Like there's a lot of shady kind of stuff going on there. It's like, okay, so Amazon's profitable. Like Tesla is not profitable at all. They keep losing money quarter after quarter. If you look at Facebook, is shrinking, but that's okay. They got Instagram. They're gonna make it up somewhere. Sorry?
Google?
Another one. They basically,
Google makes money. Google makes money because of advertising. But the thing is, you have to realize advertising. Sorry?
They pay nothing in taxes, and that's part of the Amazon deal. Is that he's getting a $4 billion tax incentive. But, if Amazon and Google were exposed to the same market as, let's say, the bakery down the corner, they would not be making nearly as much money. And for Tesla's heavily subsidized. Tesla's heavily subsidized by taxpayer money. Tesla's technology from the military.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, and but even then, even when even though Tesla is subsidized, they're still losing money.
Yep, yep, yep.
Elon Musk, like, I think Elon Musk is a complete idiot in some ways, because look at the way he's like every thing he starts now doesn't seem to go anywhere. Like he tried to do that. What do you call it? What's that thing called? The tube.
Oh yeah, that train, that tube train. I remember. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work because all it takes is one guy with a bullet shooting a gun at that tube. Like, Thunderfoot does great videos debunking everything that Tesla does.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of launching rockets from one city to another, he debunked that. He debunked he debunked solar roadways. He debunked the tunneling system for Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said, to build a tunnel under your house that goes from your garage down into a tunnel system is going to cost $1 million. Okay. Like, how much did you pay for the house? You're going to spend another $1 million to build a tunnel under your garage that's going to have an elevator to take your car underground?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is just insane, right? Like, it's not going to happen.
Well,
what are you going to do with all that dirt once you dig it up? And, Elon Musk is like, oh, we're going to make souvenirs out of the stone that we did. It's not going to work.
Going back to AOC, it's that I find it comical, though. Again, the left, the Democratic Party is somewhat cannibalizing itself, and both the right and the left, Republican, Democrat, it's the baby boomers. They're gonna die off, and AOC brings in the new left, which is a much further left, far more communistic, much more socialist branch of the Democratic Party. I mean, Bernie Sanders is going to be 80. They're talking about him running in 2020. He's I think the same age as Trump, if not, I think he's actually older than Trump. He can't run. Okay, and so like the people like Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Chuck Schumer, they're all going to have to give it up eventually, and basically they're ushering her in. She's somewhat of the messiah of the Democratic Party, which is a far left, much further left platform.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense to me why they would choose her though. Like, let me read a couple more.
It does because he's Latin. Because
the next is going to be Hispanics are eventually going to be the majority.
Yeah. They're going to be within 2050, was it? They're going to be the majority of Americans.
Yeah.
Hispanics.
Oh no, sorry, whites are going to be a minority by 2045.
So
right? So,
but how many of those Hispanics are going to be legal? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
Well, their children will be legal, right? And Trump did nothing about that, repealing that, where the anchor baby laws. He did nothing about that. That part of I forgot, maybe Bill of Rights. It's slipping my mind right now. But the other thing is where because since I work where she represents, there was no opposition. And that's the more important thing we have to look at, is that there was no opposition. When I ask my coworkers, hey, who ran against her? They have no fucking idea. And furthermore, I'll say, who ran against Andrew Cuomo? Still have no idea. Okay, which is quite nerve-wracking how the Republicans, the right, are just giving it away. And they've been giving it away for the past 20 years now.
Fuck, that's bizarre.
I don't think you have anything to worry about with regards to New York becoming like California. Like, have you been paying attention to what's been going on in California in terms of like the homeless cities appearing on and like
Santa with a magnifying glass? Yes.
Well, there was a.
This is insane. Go ahead.
Sorry, Lamprey, you mentioned that article that somebody posted it on Facebook as well. There's more homeless people than there are high school students, something like that. Like, it's fucking incredible.
Oh man.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, no, but the thing is with California, it's like all the companies are leaving because now they're being forced to have, if you have 7 members on your board, you have to have 3 of them as women. If you have 9, 4 of them have to be women,
mm-hmm.
right? So you're almost getting 50% of your board members on your corporation have to be women. So they're now mandating, these gender quota laws.
Unbelievable.
And so companies are just going to pack up and leave. They're going to go to like Texas or Alabama or Georgia or wherever they can go.
And man, you're right. But the problem is that people that vote left are like locusts. So they're going to, destroy California. And they say, wow, I can't believe how unaffordable it is. We should move to Texas. And you see that Texas went pretty far left in the November election.
eventually it's going to lead to a civil war. That's pretty much what it's going to lead to.
You think
because
so?
And I'm hoping
at some point, we won't have enough people producing to pay for the people who aren't. And at that point, if the people who aren't producing are like, we're taxed too much, we can't drive our cars to our farmers' fields so we can grow food. You're going to see the same thing with the Yellow Vest protests happening in France happen in America. And then, except the Americans are armed, and they're going to fight the government, and they're going to be like, look, you can't take away our quality of life and expect us to keep paying taxes. This is insane.
Well, the other thing that's kind of what I don't like about the United States is how much police cock we suck in the United States. Blue lives matter, Sandman. Don't you support the blue? You better back the blue. You better shut up because we're here to save you. It's out of control how much we love the police force in the United States. And every time I say, hey, look, we really shouldn't be supporting the cops that much, I get such a backlash from everybody. Oh my God. When I say, hey, they can shoot you for not having your car inspected, are you aware of that? They don't want to hear, people don't want to hear that in the United States because it becomes a white being the cops and the minorities being the bad guys, where it's like Black Lives Matter versus Blue Lives Matter. No. Why don't we listen to the average black person and his grievances against the police? They have enough evidence to show how much the police abuse them to no end. They certainly do get singled out. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And obviously got hijacked by feminists, by Bernie Sanders and their ilk, and it's turned into where white people have these stickers, back the blue, and they have these black, blue, and gray stickers on the back of their car. I'm like, who you're supporting? Like, you don't understand that they'll start shooting you because, God forbid, they say that black people deserve reparations for something that happened 200 years ago. That can really happen, and the cop's gonna come knocking at your door asking where's your money, because you gotta pay me.
Yeah, it's a mafia, man.
Well, it's gonna get really bad, but it's gonna happen slowly. It's not gonna happen all at once.
Yeah.
So, I've got a couple things. If things keep getting unaffordable here, I'm either gonna leave to
come to Alberta.
I got a couple plans.
Alberta's cheap.
Well, maybe, but I got there's only one place. There's a city called Chatham, which is about 2.5 hours away from Toronto, and it's peaceful, quiet. You can still get a decent place for like $1,000, $1,200. So that's probably the only place I can get something that cheap around in Ontario, this part of Ontario. If not there, then my other option is go and live in Eastern Europe for half the year, and that because my parents have a place in Eastern Europe, so I can actually stay there. It's empty. Nice. I can stay there for free. So, and I got family over there, so it's not bad. And then be there for half the year, and the other half come back. Get myself an RV and start traveling around, and maybe stay like.
Make sure you spend the winter months in Eastern Europe.
And that's what I was gonna say. That's what I would spend. I'd spend the spring and summer in the RV in Canada and the States, and then spend the winter months over in Europe. And you know what? I looked at the costs, and I'm like, to spend $2,000 a month on rent here. I can buy a decent motorhome for like $30,000, $40,000. Mm-hmm. That's almost the amount of money for rent for a year.
Yeah.
So, so having that and living in Europe, I'd have a decent lifestyle. I could travel anywhere I want, and I could be in Europe for half the year, and I could be North America the other half.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Sounds like a good idea, man.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do. So this fall, I'll probably head over to Eastern Europe, and but there's certain issues. Being in Eastern Europe, like the corruption in the government and mafia and all this kind of stuff, I have to kind of keep my head down, and I have to, I don't know how easy or how hard that's going to be. So if I go there and I'm there for like 3-4 months, I could just kind of test it out, see if it's worth doing.
Yeah.
If nobody bothers me for like 6 months or 4 months or whatever, then I'll probably do it. So.
Right on.
I want to go. Sorry.
I just wanted to say we're at the 2-hour mark. Can you stick with us for a little bit longer, Sandman?
Yeah, for another 10 minutes, maybe 15.
Okay.
So, any questions in the thing, or do you any of the other things we want to talk about on that list?
Okay. Let me go through the chats real quick here. It's kind of quieted down the chats in the last few minutes here.
Well, I wanna bring up the person who ran against this woman, and I think it's really important for people to know the story. So she ran against a Greek, not he's not an immigrant, but he's from Astoria, Queens, which is a predominantly Greek community. And the guy who ran against her, let me try to get his name here. I'm sorry.
Against AOC?
Anthony Pappas. Yes, his name is Anthony Pappas, the hopeless Republican candidate for the 14th House District of New York. He was disavowed by the GOP of New York State because he was brought up on domestic violence charges, guys. So the GOP decided to turn their back towards him and not support him. His only way of promoting himself was through leaflets and a Facebook page. Meanwhile, AOC had $2 million in her arsenal to go and promote around the 14th district.
Where did she get the money?
The 14th district is very small. Pardon? Where did she get that money? We can get into that in a moment. But what made this guy run was a 14-year divorce battle with his wife. And he said that because of a 14-year battle over a divorce inspired him to run to be a politician. Can you imagine that? So we have a guy who's been affected by the injustice in the divorce courts, and he's been hit with a Me Too allegation, inspired him to run hopelessly. I mean, it was all in vain against this juggernaut. So that's something to take note, worth noting, you know. And that's a lot like MGTOW in a lot of ways. That, you know, I give this guy a lot of credit, but in a lot of ways he's like an MRA. I mean, his best bet would have been to go his own way.
Yeah, man. The domestic violence charge is what sealed the deal, I think. You know, that's just for, and you're right. Even the right will turn their backs on a man in a second.
Well, especially when it comes to something like this.
Yep.
I mean, you know, every time someone says, you know, look at what's going on with the whole blackface thing in Virginia, and that's also a psyop. That's a psyop because what it's doing is it's covering up the late-term abortion situation.
Yes.
Okay, because it's completely deflected the attention off of the late-term abortion and onto blackface. Did anybody else notice that?
No. What blackface?
Are you talking about the guy who saw the coal miner's picture in the restaurant or something?
See, yeah, it was what was going on in Virginia, where basically what happened in Virginia was are you talking about the Klan picture with the that was posted on Twitter? Which one are you talking about? Yes. A high school student. I'm sorry, the guy who's now, I guess, senator or governor of Virginia. I'm really not following the story too much, but they were high school buddies, and one of his high school classmates was really offended by how this politician would support late-term abortion. So he goes, oh, yeah, you're going to support this? Well, I'm going to show everybody your high school picture, which is you covered in blackface. And that's avalanche towards a whole bunch of other accusations against other politicians in Virginia, in the Democratic and Republican Party of the state of Virginia. But it's still a bit of a psyop because it's deflecting off the original cause on how this all came about, which was the late-term abortion. So it's turned into the late-term abortion debate to a racist debate again.
To a guy that wore a black
Take it away from killing children or unborn children or close to being born children and put it on racism instead.
Yes, correct. 100%, Sandman. Thank you.
Well, they have to take attention away from that topic because who the fuck's going to support that shit?
Corporations that take the babies, cut them up, and sell the body parts for profit.
Yeah. Besides that, the general public is aghast.
The same thing happened with Governor Cuomo. The same thing happened with Governor Cuomo, where now it's a Catholic battle about excommunicating him. Well, no, not Cuomo. Go to the person who supported the bill in the first place, who put this out there for the public. Who wrote the bill? Juice?
Yeah, some kind of juice, maybe apple juice.
Tiny hat, perhaps?
Orange juice.
But again, you're turning into this now. It's a Catholic battle. Instead of the Catholics, hitting who's actually causing this and discussing who brought this forward, you're attacking Governor Cuomo, and rightfully so. You should be attacking him. There's no doubt about it. But you're talking again. It's a Catholic dialogue when it shouldn't be. It should be a little bit bigger than that. I don't want to get into the religious topic, but it's kind of strange how again it's a constant deflect of attention on the bigger problems at hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to go back quickly to the AOC, which is related to what you're saying. There's a lot of distraction going on, and the one of the things in that article that you sent me, I was kind of looking through it. Why is she causing such a sensation? She can change her tune on topics very quickly to fall into line with the establishment's wishes. And that makes sense to me. She's sort of just a pretty-faced pawn that represents, victimized people, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, originally I was actually very supportive of her. I was kind of excited to see someone like that, even though I'm not, I don't vote left, but I was kind of excited to see this person where she was from, and obviously she's in my neck of the woods and stuff like that. And what I always look for on the Democratic side is, are you pro-global tranny? If you're pro-global tranny, you're fucking out as far as I'm concerned. And as soon as I saw that she was pro-global tranny, I knew she was a shill. And that was the end of it.
Man, just her being...
Did you...
go ahead, Sandman.
Did you see what Justin Trudeau is doing in Canada?
You talking
the government wants to make... Yeah, well, just in general. But, the next election is coming up at the end of the year in Canada, the federal election. Justin Trudeau is worried about losing. So what he's doing is he's actually creating a task force to oversee the alternative media and take anything down that's considered fake news in Canada. So they're probably going to be contacting Facebook and YouTube and being like, hey, you can't be posting this guy's video talking about Skippy Trudeau over here, right? Because this is fake news, right? So he's literally trying to create censorship in alternative media so he can win the next election.
When is the election?
October.
Shit, man, when that gets close, we should talk about that.
Hey, Sam, I've got a question for you. What do you think of the whole Vancouver real estate problem? What's your take on that?
Well, a lot of it has to do with Chinese money. Like a lot of Chinese people, they're trying to get their money out of China before China has a collapse or crash, right? Because China has to correct at some point. So they took their money out. They don't want to live in China. The pollution is bad. The government is starting to implement their, social justice policies and social credit system. So smart, wealthy people want out, and they're coming to Canada because Canada doesn't rock the boat too much. So they're coming over here. They're parking their money, spending a couple $1 million on a house. They don't care because they know that they could own that house and nobody's going to take it away from them, right? So they're coming over here.
There's no backlash. Is there any opposition towards this at all? Do you say?
Well, think about it this way: the majority of people who bought properties are not opposing it because now they see their value go up. The young people who can't afford to live in Vancouver are the ones in opposition, but they don't have money. They don't have means. They're too busy surviving to actually fight what's going on. The same thing in Toronto. Toronto is now the 5th most unaffordable city in the world, right? It's more unaffordable than Vancouver. Okay, look up the unaffordability statistics, and it's just insane. And these two Canadian cities together are where the migrants, the immigrants, everybody's coming to. And both of them are geographically restricted. You got Vancouver with the mountains, and you got Toronto. They put a green belt around the city where there's no development allowed. They've said, you're not over this line, you're not allowed to build any new properties. So Toronto is now being forced to either build up, or people are moving further away from Toronto into the cities outside of the drivable cities, an hour to an hour and a half away. And those cities are now starting to become unaffordable too. So, I'll give you an example. In Niagara Falls, New York, you can buy a house for like $150,000. In Niagara Falls, Canada, it's like $350,000, $400,000. So, 3 times as expensive a 5-minute car drive away, simply because Toronto is on the other side. Mm-hmm. So, look, it's not going to correct so long as Justin Trudeau keeps letting refugees and migrants come into the country. These migrants have no problem living 5 to a house 5 families to a house, or through 2 families, or 3 families, or whatever. A lot of them have no problem doing that, and they're forcing the standard of life down in Toronto. That's why I'm like, I'm just gonna pack my shit and get the hell out of here. You know, I looked at parts of Eastern Europe I want to go to. The population is shrinking. Real estate and rent keeps going down every year because there's less people. So the apartments over there sitting empty. Nobody wants to live in them. So, you know, if I can make Canadian wages and live somewhere where I'm paying like next to nothing, why not?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a serious problem. It's global. It's happening in all Western countries. You see what the affordability in England is. Yep.
It's only happening in certain cities, though. Like, you're looking at, like, London, you're looking at, like, Paris is a shithole, yet real estate prices are, like, extremely high. But don't worry, this is just a temporary thing. As things collapse, they always collapse towards the center. So as a system fails, everyone migrates to the cities where there are still services available to them that are, you know, affordable and you know, they can get amenities. But eventually, once the cities rot out and they can't afford to support all the migrants and pay all the welfare checks, what do you think the migrants are going to do? They're just going to sit there quietly and starve? No, they're going to be riots. And then you're going to see the Frenchmen in the countryside riot too. So there's going to be a civil war in France. And yet the French government is suppressing any protests. They've imposed a bill now to say that protests are illegal. Or not illegal, but something along those lines. They want to control protests.
Massage genie.
The right to assemble is being taken away in France. Those are words that, you know, that lead to revolution.
Well, you can't really, like, in the United States, the problem is everyone's atomized, so you can't even really get some type of community organization to protest against these type of things, because, you know, your Joe next door is too busy with his daughter's soccer practice, right? Oh, listen, you know, they're talking about developing, you know, they're having a gay bathhouse opening next door to the church. We got to go and stop that. No, I'm too busy, you know, I got the PTA meeting later, and, you know, my daughter's track meet is, you know, tonight, so sorry, I can't make it. So this is also a major problem with the atomization of the individual, you know, where everyone's just fragmented across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't stop this. I mean, look, I know people here in the city make $150,000, $200,000, have a small family or families, and they're basically saying that
dual income, right?
The city's not affordable. What?
Dual
income, and they can't save money. Like, and I'm not talking about, like, I'm talking an average, what we consider average middle class lifestyle.
Right.
And it's impossible to save for retirement, for example. So, like, for me, I'm like, look, I've been working too fucking hard to, you know, I don't have any family. I don't really have too many assets in terms of, like, real estate, but I have assets, financial assets. So for me, I'm just like, look, I'm going to figure out a way to retire so I don't have to fucking do this shit anymore. Mm-hmm. So that, to me, is my biggest, that's my goal. That's my only goal, is to make enough money so I can continue to produce MGTOW content without having to worry about being fully demonetized. That's my goal.
Yeah.
You know, and the robot textile thing that I'm working on. But other than that, it's like, you know, like, I'm not asking for that much. I'm just asking for, you know, a 1-bedroom apartment and a retirement. That's it. Like, and I'm fucking working all the time.
Yeah.
And yet I can't afford that as a single man. I can only imagine what families are having to deal with.
Yeah, man. Even as a single man, where you're living is going to be tough. I mean, I do.
Well, they're dealing with their wives nagging at them that you're not working hard enough. That's what the man's got to deal with. The donkey, the disposable male, has his wife nagging at him that she wants a 2-bedroom in downtown Toronto.
Oh God.
What I'm saying is, I've got friends who've been working for the last 20 years, who no problem can afford a great car or cars, but they still can't afford a decent place to live, and they have $70,000, $80,000 a year salary, and they want to retire.
Single men.
Wow. Single men, and they're living in poverty, and they've got $70,000, $80,000 a year jobs.
Wow.
This is just absolutely insane. So I'm like, and they can't leave because they're tied to their job here, right? This is the problem. So for me, at least I can, like, pick up and go, and at least I can work remotely. I just have to make sure that people where I'm going don't figure out that I'm actually making money remotely and then try to, like, blackmail.
Tax you.
Yeah. Yeah, be careful
That's
about
the
that.
last thing. Yeah, I got to be careful about that.
Well,
so
if
people just can't.
if you're not living in Canada or the United States, or if you're living in Eastern Europe, chances are you're not going to have too many tax issues. You know, it's not the same as here. Here, fuck yeah, you better. Here, if you're a thought and you're making money off your Instagram, you don't tell the tax man, you're in big shit.
Well, but it's like, okay, PayPal up until a few years ago wasn't even reporting people's income, business income, to the government.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how insane that is? Like,
Yeah.
I've been reporting my PayPal income since I started doing my YouTube channel. I've been reporting it since I started doing PayPal payments back in 2001 or 1999 or whatever it was. And you're telling me that these people, these thoughts out there, have been making all this money and not reporting a single dollar of it, and they're complaining about this. Like, come on, it's fucking bullshit. They think so. It goes to your bank account. Like, what are they doing? They're probably, you know what? They're not even reporting it. They're probably creating. You can create a PayPal account and a fake name and a fake address. At least you could before. At least I did in 2013 as Sandman, and I didn't even put my real name on it. You're getting that income into that PayPal account, and then what you're doing is you're buying shit with that PayPal account, and it's being delivered to your house. So they don't know who you are. It's not connected to any bank account. It's not connected to your credit card. They don't know anything about you, yet you have a PayPal account. And that's how they were getting away with this stuff.
No more. Not
Well, yes, more, because the government's going to look at a lot of these thoughts and it's going to be like, hey, how much are they making? $500, $1,000 a month? That's not worth our time going after.
do
we
you
got
know how much money some of these chicks make, man? Are you serious?
How much money do you think they really make?
Well, some of them are making like 20 grand a month, dude.
That's different. But I'm talking about the majority of them are going to do it for a few months and they're going to stop.
Right.
You have to like what about the ones on that make money off of Patreon? They get it transferred to their PayPal account and then they spend it on their PayPal account and then the money is never
disappears.
seen.
Yeah, just disappears.
But the Patreon account is there, so the government can see how much they're making roughly on Patreon.
Right.
Well, you know what's more interesting? I brought this up on a previous live stream with Ayam. What do you think the long-term ramification psychologically is going to be for these young women that do these type of things for money? I mean, how's that gonna spill over in their own personal lives where they want to bond with somebody, get married, and have children?
Women don't. How many women do you know lately that want to form bonds with men and have children? I mean,
well, they do. They just want to have champagne on the beach, and they want to Instagram what they eat. That's what they inspire to do.
And get shit on by Arabs.
A lot of women have one kid now just to kind of make sure the husband doesn't go anywhere. I mean, that's really what a lot of families are about these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and there's a lot of single mothers too. Single motherhood is weaponized. So, yeah, I agree with Sandman here. I don't think they do. I don't think women want to form bonds with men.
The baby now is a status symbol, or even having a family now is a status symbol. They treat the baby and dress it up and down in designer clothing that cost a fortune.
Yeah, but are these women really raising their children properly?
No.
Come on. Yeah, well, there you go. Right. So you're going to have a whole generation of kids that are going to be totally fucked up, and it's going to be more fucked up than the current generation.
Well, that's why way back when you mentioned, about not the incels, but the TFLs who just said, we want to have a woman to have a relationship, hold her hand, and maybe give her a kiss now and then. Again, my MGTOW mind cringed. Like, that doesn't exist, man. Where are you going to find that? And you're right, man.
You're going to find it with the woman. You're going to find it with the woman that's actually scared. I'm sorry, I'm moving my car in case you hear any noise.
That's okay.
But you're going to find it with a woman that's scared to be single. So if he's dating a woman that's like lower sexual marketplace than he is, then that's possible.
Yeah,
but the problem is that if they're TFL or an incel, they're already lowest sexual marketplace value as it is. Yeah. So the odds of them finding a woman that's much lower on that marketplace value total pole is almost next to nil.
Yes.
So that's, and on top of that, now you hear these other incel terms like brain cell being brought up. Guys who they may look normal and they may look attractive, but there's something mentally wrong with them. So therefore, women don't want to interact with them. So they're brain cells. And then on top of that, now you have women who are ugly and can't get men, and they call themselves fem cells.
Oh,
And
Christ.
they want into the incel community so that they can find the incel version of Chad so they can date him. This is just like there was an article written about this a couple months ago. I thought it was hilarious. And people were like, I don't believe it. A woman's not there's no women out there that are incels. And I'm like, there are some pretty ugly ones out there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if we looked hard enough, we could find one.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they exist. But going back to Lamprey's question, this thoughterry that is happening, those women are not going to have any kind of productive lives in their later years. Not at all.
They think they are. I've communicated with these women. I'm only doing this for a little while. I'm only doing this for like a year. I'm only doing this because I'm going to college full time. I can't make any money.
No.
That's their responses. And I'm like, all right. Good luck.
It's not going to work for them, man. It just won't. I mean,
But look at.
Go ahead.
But look at sites like Chatterbait. You're looking at a lot of the women on there that are like 20 to 25, 30 max. So you're not looking at like the demographic of like cam models and all this stuff is pretty young. It's early to mid 20s. After that, like nobody wants to look at those 25 to 30-year-olds because they can be looking at the 21-year-old, right? So and those 21-year-olds are going to be the ones that get all the money. So in a way, those 21-year-olds are going to do it for a year or two or three because that's all they can do it for. After that, they're no longer marketable.
Yeah, they'll hit the wall eventually. I mean, a women's
a lot younger because they're competing with women that are a lot younger and hotter than they are.
Yeah, and their only source of income is their sex, right? They don't.
Are you sure?
Well, they're masturbating on a fucking webcam, dude. That's how they make their money, and they make a lot of money. And that's
maybe they have a guy on the side. Maybe they have a rich daddy. Maybe they have another job on the side that nobody knows about. I don't know.
Well, it's possible, I suppose. But I mean, if you got a job, you're probably right. I mean, maybe they have part-time jobs. Working here and there. I remember when I was working at the liquor store, this girl would come in 2-3 times a week in her pajamas at fucking 11 in the morning to buy booze. I'm like, what do you fucking do for a living? I'm pretty sure she's probably jerking off in front of a camera.
Yeah.
So the thing is there's this women, regardless of what they think, there's still a biological drive or instinct to reproduce. And once they've wasted their life just being a thought for their 20s, that's it. It's done. They're not going to find. They're incapable of having a productive, responsible relationship with a man. They're incapable. They might find a guy. They might find a cuck to support her, but she'll never have.
I don't think the relationship with the guy is the most important thing. I think the relationship with the child that she has is more important. And if she's not learning about mothering and she doesn't have any instincts, her instincts are gone because she didn't pick up all the cultural values that she should have, or if none of her friends are having babies, then she's not going to have babies either. I've seen circles of women who I'm like, oh, as soon as one of them has a kid, they're all going to have kids. No, none of them had any kids. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? In your 20s, you think they're all going to be pregnant and have families by the time they're in their early to mid 30s, and then it never happened.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because they got the guy, they gave him sex, and he's happy. He's not going anywhere, and they don't even have to have a kid to keep him.
Yeah, and she'll probably cheat on him consistently. They'll never get over that. I mean, when they're so obsessed about sex, it never goes away, man. It just becomes worse and worse for these women. Let me go to comments real quick. Tar Eco says, incels in Toronto, perish the thought. Jacob Main says, I would be a brain cell if I was a virgin. I open my conspiracy theory mouth and females run. It's my own litmus test. Jonathan Hardy says, and I believe in regards to what are these thoughts going to do? He says they can run for Congress. They'll probably win. I just wanted to mention there's a lot of new people coming in. Thanks for coming in, guys. Massage Genie says, damn it, missed the whole thing. Dude, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the notification bell. And hopefully Google or YouTube or Google doesn't fuck with it. And you'll get the notifications when we come on. We're usually on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night around the same time. So just if you guys aren't subscribed.
Any final questions?
Do we have any? You guys got any? Sandman's got to take off, so I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to, if you have any questions, quickly post them, and we'll try to get through a few of them before he's got to go. So we'll give you a couple minutes to do that.
Well, my question, to be honest with you, I've only, I actually viewed your content many years ago, long before I met Ayam. And my question is, how did you wind up doing this whole YouTube channel in the first place?
What I did was, you mean this channel or just YouTube in general?
Ian Sandman, how did this come about?
Well, I ended a relationship, and I wanted to get more dating advice, so I went online and I listened to a couple of Stardust videos. I found Girl Writes What, and I'm like, wow, these guys, these channels really know what they're talking about when it comes to women. I'm like, holy cow, like the psychology is just fascinating. And then I realized, wait a minute, this isn't advice on how I should be. This is advice as to. And then I just kept, I kept observing and observing and observing, and I was just like, holy cow, this is the red pill of all red pills. Like I've taken other red pills before, like, I learned about corporations and how advertising works. I took like history of propaganda. John Locke's Thomas Hobbes. I read a lot of liberalism, liberalist art, like what do you call them? Like a lot of philosophers, and went through a lot of their thinking. And then once I got to MGTOW, I was like, this is new. This is something about this that's it's like forbidden knowledge. And and when I started doing it, I felt like I shouldn't be saying these things. Like I felt like I'm going back through my old videos and thinking, I probably sound angry. I probably sound like a raving maniac. I'm like, no, this stuff sounds perfectly normal. And yet, when I first started it, I was like, it just felt wrong. It felt evil for some reason, right? And people who discover it now, they're like, MGTOW's evil. I'm like, I felt that at the beginning too. But the more I listen to it and the more I make this content, the more I realize there's nothing evil. It's just rational observations based on human nature. It's the idea, it's the narrative, right? Like women control the narrative when it comes to social interactions in our society.
Yeah.
So, I got into it because I wanted to just explore it further, take it further. I started it, I don't know when you started, Ayam, but I started like end of 2013. When did you start doing it?
I was like started right around the same time as you. I think we started.
Yeah, so I started. Yeah, Raging Golden Eagle started around the same time. Spetsnaz started around the same time.
Yeah.
There were a lot of channels that started popping up around that time. And, Karen Strawn and Stardust and Barbarossa were kind of winding down because they exhausted everything they could talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't realize that, hey, just keep talking about the same stuff. Your audience will grow, right?
Yeah.
They didn't really think about that. And so I just kept producing content, and people just resonated with it, just started coming to it right away. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And the first 3-4 months, I wasn't really making any money. I was just kind of just doing it for fun and just kind of like part of the community. And then all of a sudden, people just started donating. They're like, here's some money, do this topic. And I'm like, what? And then I asked everybody, send me donations. And then as a joke, I didn't even take it seriously. And then like 4 days later, somebody's like, did you get my request? I'm like, what request? On PayPal. I'm like, really? PayPal? I checked my PayPal account, and there's like 5-6 payments in there. I'm like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Like I was shocked. I was totally in shock. And so I just started making content. And then, and slowly with time, I ran into the men's rights movement. I started getting involved with them. I thought they were a good idea at the beginning. I thought, if Karen Strawn's involved and she's saying all these great things, and, Paul Elam, he's saying a lot of really great things. I don't mind saying similar stuff or just creating new content and coming up with new ideas, right? And then I learned when going to the men's rights conference, the first one they had in Detroit, I was like, no, these aren't my people. they're like MGTOWs, but they're like a bunch of people who want to organize, the guys that want to organize as MGTOWs. But they don't realize that men are just islands unto themselves. But they're trying to ram a square peg into a round hole, and it's not going to work, right? And then you get all the once I saw the women that were there, like there was a female Canadian senator that was there, Karen Strawn, the Honey Badgers, Dr. can't remember, Helen Smith, who wrote that, like the man strike. It's like, I'm like, what the hell's going on? It's a men's rights conference. The only people I see are like
It's all women.
guys who paid for it, and women. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then those like older, middle-aged men's rights activist guys who want to control everything. I was like, this is bizarre. Like, I kind of slowly started getting away from it. You know, I realized this doesn't work.
Well, hey,
but yeah, I got into it. Go ahead.
Let me digress for a second there, man, because this is very pertinent to what you just said. Speaking of honey badgers, can I read a headline of a couple articles to you?
Sure.
Okay. This is from CBS Los Angeles.
Oh, this is good. Yeah.
When did this come out?
Brand new. This was 2 days ago. All right. So, speaking of honey badgers, here is the article headline: Porn actress Mercedes Carrera, producer husband, accused of molesting girl. So
okay, I saw that story, but I didn't really look into it. Okay.
So Mercedes Carrera was an honorable honey badger.
What?
Yes, when you and I were probably
Oh, I remember that now. When she was doing all those interviews. Oh shit. Oh shit.
She was big into Gamergate. That's how she really got her popularity. But because she was into Gamergate, she got into the honey badgers and became an honorary honey badger, and was doing streams with them all the time. In those days.
Oh fuck! That's gonna come back to haunt them.
So anyway, let me read you the article. Police say an adult film actress. And I tried to get this woman on my fucking live stream, man. I'm serious. I tried to get in contact with her.
She wanted money. Or she wanted a gift.
Yeah, she wanted a gift card to come on. Anyway, and I said no. So anyway, it says here, police say an adult film actress and producer who were arrested last Friday on suspicion of committing sexual acts with a girl may have other victims. Melinda Smith, that's her real name, 35, and Jason Whitney, 43, were charged Tuesday with 8 counts of sexually abusing a child under the age of 10. They also face a count of possession while armed with a handgun. They appeared in court on Wednesday and entered not guilty pleas. Smith, also known as Mercedes Carrera, a porn star with an extensive number of credits on IMDb. Police initially said Whitney, a producer and director of several pornographic films, was known as Jay Allen, but detectives later said that while he occasionally uses that alias on social media platforms, he's better known in the adult film industry as Damon Sins. Detectives from the Rancho Cucamonga Police Department say that they were first notified of sexual acts against a girl under the age of 10 on January 31st. The girl was sexually abused repeatedly over 4 months by Smith and Whitney, according to police. Last Friday, a search warrant served at the home uncovered evidence corroborating the girl's statement, including a bedroom setup where the couple could film and record various pornographic videos or web shows. Methamphetamine and 2 loaded handguns were found as well. Christ. What do you think of that?
So how do you think this is going to affect the honey badgers?
Well, they've been... she hasn't been involved with the honey badgers for at least 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But it's really, really bizarre. And also, if you look at the article, just look at it when you have a chance. Like, look at her without makeup on. It's just horrendous.
Yeah, I thought it was brutal. Yeah. And she's what, 35?
What did she... 35, yeah.
Oh, she looks like she's 45.
Yeah, she does. She looks like she's 45. But yeah, just absolutely horrendous. But, that's a serious charge, man. Serious fucking charge.
Well, you're building your dungeon in a fucking room and you got meth there and guns and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll affect the honey badgers at all because they've been distant from her for a long time. But that's really bizarre. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because you mentioned the honey badgers. So let me just give you a couple more questions, and then we can let you go, man.
Here's something to think about. I've actually been speaking now for like 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours, and this is the longest I've actually gone without having any throat issues. Like I haven't had any phlegm or anything, and this is like I remember telling you about my health issues before. Yeah. Like it's like the diet that I'm on is like so crazy, and it finally looks like it's working. Like shit, took like I've been on this diet now for well over a year.
That's good news, man. Good for you.
Last time we were talking, you were really upset about your whole health problems. It would seem to really be bothering you. It was on your mind a lot.
Yeah, well, that's good, man.
Yeah, no, it's you know, I've had a lot of luck, and it's just been self-diagnosis and self-treatment. And
have you lost a lot of weight? I mean, are you having problems?
I was 180, and then I went down to 150, which is horrible because I lost a lot of weight because of my diet. I didn't really know where I was getting my calories from, and you know, and then my health got worse because I was malnourished, and then other issues that I had started flaring up. But now I'm kind of, I'm about 162, 163, so I gained some weight back, so I'm a healthy weight now.
Mm-hmm.
And
how tall are you?
What?
How tall are you?
5'9". So I'm at 24. Sorry?
That's still a bit underweight, no?
No, I'm. If you look at the BMI index, 24. 24 is the 25. Sorry, BMI 25 is overweight, and I'm like 24 and a quarter.
Mm.
So, like, if you look at the old school BMI, like I'm approaching overweight. So, I'm gonna stay at this weight because 24 is like ideal. So, that's the ideal healthy weight apparently.
We plan on doing a show on veganism. I hope maybe you'd be interested in doing that live stream with us because I've been researching the topic of dieting and veganism after that last live stream you came on, and so is Ayam. So perhaps in a couple months, maybe you'd be interested in doing that with us.
Well, I've thrown out all what do you call it? Not meat, but I've thrown out all dairy out of my diet, and that's actually helped a lot with like acid reflux and phlegm in my throat. It's all gone. Like it disappeared the moment I stopped eating that. But like you know, with meat, I only get maybe 500 calories a day from meat. So my meat is very like most of my calories come from olive oil, nuts like almonds, and then a little bit of calories from meat, and everything else comes from like green vegetables and cauliflower and stuff like that.
Well, your diet's very specific to a condition though that you needed to remedy.
I don't know what I have because I can't get I went and got allergy tests. No diet. No. It's a low carb keto diet is what it is.
Mm.
But it's not like Atkins where I'm eating a lot of meat. I mean, it's kind of like it's less meat than the Atkins,
mm-hmm.
but it's not quite a vegan diet because I'm still eating meat.
Mm-hmm. Let me drop one more question on you, and then we can call it a night. Jonathan had a question, but hey, Jonathan, we've already talked about TFM DDJ, so if you want to hear, just go back and listen to the stream after. This last question is from Happy Humble Hermit, who apparently does videos as well, produces content.
Yeah, he's got good content.
Yeah. Wow, cool. Okay, Happy Humble Hermit, I'll have to subscribe to your channel. I didn't know. He asked Sandman, where is MGTOW on YouTube going in 2019?
I think in the short term, I think our suggested traffic is going to disappear to zero. But I think that by the end of the year, we'll be close to replacing most of the traffic that we lose.
Okay.
So I don't know if we're going to have another crisis, if Patreon's going to do something or PayPal. But I mean, there's only so many crises we can have, right? Like at this point, I mean, what are they? You know, like they can take our PayPal and Patreon, but we'll just move over to Subscribestar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, you know, like you know, they can take away YouTube, but eventually we'll just move to BitChute. So you know, at that point, there's nothing left to take. I mean, you know, realistically speaking, you know, if we're all on BitChute and we're producing, we're not getting as much of an audience, but we're still making content and we're still getting paid a little bit through Subscribestar, then have they won? I don't think so. And we'll just keep growing from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hope they don't just decide to boot us off the platform. But I don't think they can really do that. I think they're just going to try to de-incentivize or disincentivize us from producing content.
Well, they're going to have to make some decisions because eventually, if they keep going in the direction they are, there will be a mass migration. Not far in the future. I think it's coming.
They've got nothing left to cut. I mean, what can they cut? They can't mess around with their subscribers. They can't mess around with searches. Yeah. They can't mess around with the browse feature of you going through your own subscribers and finding something to watch.
Yeah.
So what can they really mess with besides throwing us off entirely? The algorithm. What are they going to do? They can't hide us, like literally hide us from people's subscribe feeds. If they do that, people are just going to leave. So at this point, that's it. They've got nothing else. They're going to have to take more drastic measures at that point.
Yeah. MGTOW, okay, Revolutionary got put in a timeout by Warrior.
Well, you know who that is. Wait. You know who that is,
Trilobite.
right?
It's Trilobite.
It's Trilobite.
I don't know if it's. I think it's Trilobite's buddy though. I don't know. It could be Trilobite though. But anyway, he said MGTOW's dead, and then Tony B said MGTOW stars will come out of the closet. For example, Brad Pitt. And I wanted to mention to the listeners that those of you that are tuned in late, make sure next time you got your notifications set so you can pick up on these chats when they start. Because now everybody's coming in. But
I just learned of another MGTOW celebrity, John Cusack.
Oh, really?
Get out
of They asked him, when are you getting married? He's like, no one's telling me how to live. That's all he said. He's like, no one's telling me how to live.
There you go. Well, and I was going to say to the listeners, you yourself, Sandman, said you've had some high authority people make donations and ask you to talk about MGTOW. They will remain nameless, but there you go.
Yep.
There you go. MGTOW is not dead. No matter how much.
January of this year, MGTOW was at the highest it's ever been in Google Trends for searches.
Wow.
How can you MGTOW be dead if it's getting bigger? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
Like, if people are searching for it more and more, and traffic to MGTOW channels keeps increasing, even though we're being demonetized, how can it be dead?
Exactly.
You know,
it's not dead. It's not dead.
Let's say on average 2 million views a month on my channel, right?
Wow.
So that's the most I've ever had, and it's every 6 months to a year it goes up a bit.
Yeah.
So like I don't understand how it's dead. If it was dead, like PUA is declining. If you look at MGTOW compared to PUA, PUA is actually going down in trends, but MGTOW is rising. It's almost as if the audience that PUA is losing, MGTOW is picking up.
Yes, all the PUAs are like, "Fuck this shit, man. I'm tired.
Exactly.
I'm tired of jumping through hoops. I'm going to MGTOW." Yeah.
Well, once you know the game loses its value and meaning, right?
Well, have you listened to any of Roosh V's recent? He does live streams, and they're pretty popular. But he's the king of PUA on YouTube. Right?
Yeah.
Have you listened to his recent streams?
I've heard like being discouraged by the types of women that are out there, and that he wants to kind of just do his own thing. I was like, what the
he's
fuck?
done with the PUA, man. It's incredible.
Really?
So, well, he's never said that. I've never heard him say those exact words, but he's constantly talking about, you know what, you're just chasing these women, and it's a waste of time. And I've heard him say on his streams, I made a mistake. So if the king of PUA is saying, everything I told you was bullshit.
Well, the problem is you do realize Roosh V is almost 40 years old, right?
Yeah.
So sexual marketplace value with his graying beard is not really all that. He's starting to be that crazy guy with the beard, right? Like, people are looking at him like, in 5 or 10 years, he could be living in the bushes covered in, like, moss with that beard, like, growing down. Right? Like, it's like, he's got that creepy, crazy old guy with a beard look, right? So women are not falling for it anymore, right? No. Women are not going for him, so he's like, these women, they suck. They're not coming for the beard. Worship the beard. No, they don't worship the beard, right? So what's happening is he's just giving up because he's frustrated. But he can't admit that it's his fault, or that it's women changing and that he's older. Instead, he's basically got to say, women suck. No, women just don't want you. You're old. Right, and you're not married. You're old. You say you were going to find somebody to marry, but you're not marriage material. You're living in Eastern Europe. Again, not to knock Eastern Europe, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of
and then
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off there.
His YouTube channel is total, like his YouTube channel is pretty much one of his lifelines. But Rushvi's Return of Kings has been put on hiatus because he got demonetized. Everything. They took his PayPal away. They took Patreon. They took like any payment provider. They took his ad sponsors away. They took everything away from him.
Wow.
But he suffered a lot. That guy suffered a lot for his content. He can't sell books on Amazon because they're considered like hate speech. Like everything. He's lost everything.
Wow, that's insanity.
Oh.
You know, a lot of people in the chats are kind of, as we're talking, are throwing out what MGTOW is. And, you know, Lamprey reminded me of what I described it as before. Because Blue Sky says movements are gay. It's not a movement. MGTOW's not a movement. It's a very poor definition of it.
I put what is the MGTOW movement in a video yesterday, and everyone's like, it's not a movement. And I'm like, relax. That's what the guy asked. The question is what?
Of course.
What do you see with the MGTOW movement? It's like, well, I'm going to call, and then that video got like the least amount of views. Again, I put that video yesterday. I don't think it's even cracked 10,000. I think it's like 8,000, 9,000 views. That video should have like 15, 20,000 views. I don't understand why YouTube it's not promoted at all.
Who knows, man? But there's a lot of sensitive men in MGTOW. I mean, let's not fool ourselves.
There's a splitting. It's a psychological term, splitting. It's either you're with me or you're against me. There's absolutely no gray. It's very childish.
Yes, exactly.
I don't want the NPC mentality to kind of infiltrate this kind of stuff, right? So,
yeah,
I mean, that's the whole CFM DDJ thing. Like, I'm like, look, I listen to both their channels. I listen to DDJ's content. I think he's got some amazing anti-censorship stuff. Although now his channel, like I said, 10,000 views down to like 3,000 or 4,000 views per video. Mm-hmm. Gee, I wonder why that happened. You think it could be the suggestions are being taken down to zero?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then TFM puts out great content too. I listen to his stuff all the time too. Mm-hmm. And to just see them fighting is kind of like, well, what's the point? Like, both of you have your place. Like DDJ is clearly moving into the YouTube is censoring me and all these social media platforms are shit direction. He should do that. That's actually valuable. And TFM is doing his talk show thing. That's valuable too. Like, I think you need to kind of have both and keep things going.
Yeah.
Keep things fresh.
Yeah. And I wanted to just say that I've often described MGTOW as a discipline because you have to discipline yourself to be MGTOW. So I prefer to describe it as a discipline. But the other thing that Lamprey brought up earlier today that I forgot was MGTOW is just like the Boy Scouts, but without all the girls. It's basically
now, the Boy Scouts are now bankrupt, apparently.
Really? Well, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, but they let the girls and then they're bankrupt.
Unbelievable.
That's why they did that. They were going to go bankrupt anyway, so it was like it didn't matter. They were trying to like pass save the Hail Mary pass to save the day, but it didn't work.
Of course it didn't work. What a ridiculous idea.
Yeah, but Girl Scouts are going strong, isn't it?
Yeah, but nobody gives a shit about you little boys. I mean,
nobody goes to scouts anymore. Like who goes? People are on their cell phones and tablets. They're not even going and tying ropes in the woods anymore. Like, come on.
Well, not just that though. There's no social or economic support for boys doing those kind of things. It's tossed away. Nobody gives a shit. There's probably boys that are very interested in doing stuff like that. Even if it's for a short period of time, just to learn and behave. But society doesn't give a fuck. Why are the Girl Scouts still going? It's the same bullshit. Why are they still going, but the Boy Scouts isn't?
Because it's female-owned group preference. Because women enjoy socializing with one another, even though they hate each other.
Women are. That's true. That's true. They do enjoy social. But also, you got to remember. Come on, man. Why does breast cancer get 15 times the donation compared to prostate, when the same amount of people from each sex is
and prostate cancer is now there are more deaths, even though. The thing is, think about it. It's you can see it, right? You see their breasts, and it's like, it's their beauty, it's their sexual marketplace value. If they lose their breasts, then nobody looks at them anymore.
Yes,
so that's why.
And the entire NFL puts pink on to represent it.
Yep.
I mean, there's a huge corporate campaign to fucking save the Whammons. And that
Yeah, and men are going to stop watching football as much because of the bullshit.
Eventually. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a really big fan of watching sports, although I do like to watch my occasional baseball game. But in reality, a lot of guys are. They love it. They love it so much. It's a lifestyle. So it's going to be a hard sell to make men.
Look,
stop
it's like
watching.
dogs chasing the ball, right? Like that's how a lot of men think, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah. Well, we're at the 3-hour mark, man. I don't want to keep you up anymore.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that my throat is held up and I haven't had any issues. So I'm really happy about that.
That's good.
So we could
It
definitely.
was a lot of fun, man. I really liked you coming on. I hope you come on again soon. It was really cool.
Yeah. Oh, and why don't God, one of my moderators, his name is Rico. He never believes it's you. I don't know why. He did
Because
this.
I don't sound like myself on YouTube. Apparently, the moment I changed my voice to the weird happy Sandman voice, I got my audience grew. I don't understand why. People just like that voice better for some reason.
Yeah, so he never believes it's you. So why don't, before we sign off, you just sign off with your regular Sandman sign off, and then we'll call it a night.
All right. So enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.
All right. Perfect, man. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. You've been listening to MGTOW Chats episode, unironically, number 69. And our guest, Sandman. And no, I'm not talking about the smirking MAGA hat wearing kid. So we'll see you guys again next week. Have a good night and take care, guys.
Ciao.
All right. Later.
Good night.